feeling good today.
Was it the cocaine?
No, it's the fact that this podcast and like 2 more videos are all that stands between me an entire fucking weekend of not talking to anybody, not looking at anybody, not doing anything but playing the goddamn Legend of Zelda. So
that's right. That's this weekend. I forgot about that.
Yes, actually, it happens at 11 o'clock tonight. So,
okay.
so
you're just gonna play Link to the Past before that point, right?
I'm gonna play all of them simultaneously. I'm gonna speed run every Zelda, but at the same time. I'm just gonna get every Zelda game up to the same game controller and play them all at the same time.
Well, you gotta watch Twin Peaks and Link's Awakening at the same time, apparently.
Sure. Backwards,
Yeah,
right,
backwards,
obviously.
exactly.
Then it matches up. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Anyway, welcome back, everybody, to the dojo here on RageSelect. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mike.
Yes, it's exciting. We actually have a lot of Zelda news to talk about this week, because it's a weird news week, but I think there's some interesting topics. It's more like
about Zelda Fitzgerald? That's a weird thing to talk about.
Yeah. You know, what happened? Was that a murder? Like, did she... What's our responsibility to Zelda Fitzgerald? No, The Legend of Zelda, Michael. Come on. Keep up. This is the RageSelect podcast. But before we get to that, wait, do we already identify who everybody is? Okay, good. Fucking... It's an automatic. It's like a tick for me. It just happens, and then I forget 4 seconds later.
We can talk about the characters in Zelda. Everyone knows Zelda is the dude, right?
That's the guy, the green guy. That's
yeah.
Zelda. Yeah.
Him and Metroid.
Him and
Halo.
Mr. Metroid, and the Sergeant Halo from the Halo franchise. Actually, though, before we get into any of that, I have feelings about another fantasy series, another long-running fantasy series, which I finally got a chance to check out last week, the much-lauded Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves movie.
Oh, the movie. Sorry.
Yes.
That's right. I forgot you told me that.
Yeah. It was funny because I wasn't even really aware that was happening, and then Amanda described it to me, and I was like, oh, that sounds like shit, like the last one. It's like, oh, we've swapped out Jeremy Irons for Hugh Grant, and we put Chris Pine in, who, like, dude, I don't know, flip a coin and subtract 2, and like maybe it'll be okay. Like, I did watch that one where him and Denzel Washington drive trains super hard.
I forgot about that.
I haven't watched The Wrinkle in Time. He's like the dad in The Wrinkle in Time.
I like Chris Pine a lot, though, to be honest, because he did the Spider-Man Spider-Verse where he sang Spidey Bells.
Oh,
and he went super hard on that, and he didn't need to.
Anyway, it was really enjoyable. Like, I'm happy to report. I'm glad that I don't have to come out here and be like, man, it was too long. There weren't enough plots. How come nobody knows how to write a character? No, man. Like, a bunch of 2-dimensional characters that all had little story arcs. They all had a little, like, here's my problem. I wonder if it'll get resolved by the end of the movie. And there were like 2 or 3 weak points. Like I was telling you about this one plot. I consider it like a... Wait a minute. Why did that have to happen that way? Like,
oh, yeah, you're telling me about that part, yeah.
But, you know, outside of that, there was a lot of fun Easter eggs for people that know stuff about Dungeons and Dragons. Not even just there's one thing, I'm not going to spoil it in case people haven't seen it, but there's one thing that I think the internet talked a lot about. But there's like other stuff where you're just like, oh, I know what that is, or like, oh, I know what that is, or they reference like Baldur's Gate, right? Like, if you're a gamer, because Baldur's Gate's a place in Forgotten Realms, right? So they'll talk about, like, you know, the Sword Coast and Baldur's Gate and places where you're like, oh yeah, I remember that. And it was great. Michelle Rodriguez was great as like the snarky barbarian, and Chris Pine was great as a snarky bard. He wasn't quite horny enough. In fact, a lot of the story revolves around him like having a dead wife, and I'm like, well, that's not a good bard backstory.
It's a strange bard. Well, if it starts that way, usually it ends with him fucking everything. Yeah, because he's depressed.
Yeah,
but I guess that's not a thing you can do in a movie.
And then what? Justice Smith, is that the name of the guy?
I think so.
He was like a kind of a wizard who doesn't really believe in himself, and then there's like there was this other lady that was really this like redheaded lady,
because she's the shapeshifter or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
she's like a druid, right? Like a shapeshifting druid. Yeah, Sophia Lillis. But yeah, I mean, across the board. And like I said, you had there's a character, I won't talk about it too much, but like halfway through the game, I feel like you've got this, it's like halfway through the movie, people might not know this, so I want to point this out in case people don't know. Halfway through the movie, the characters have to go and do something for what is obviously the DM's self-insert way too powerful character. And it's really great if you know that trope. If you know the trope of like the DM makes your underpowered party go rely on their self-insert so that they can get to play the game a little bit, and they're always like super powerful. And I was like, oh, I know what that is.
And he's
like,
got an 8-pack and everything. He's got a huge schlong.
Yeah. So no, it was fun though. It was really fun. And it was like 2 hours and 20 minutes, but it wasn't like, it didn't drag. It like they kept moving along. There were some good gags. Like I thought it actually, like there were some good good jokes that relied on like a setup and a payoff. Like there's a part where they're resurrecting these zombies. And it's like you could bring the dead back to life and ask them 3 questions, and then they can never be resurrected again. And so they go to this like battlefield. And they're resurrecting people, and like after the first one, they really are only asking them 1 question, so they just have to make up other questions to ask them, and it's pretty funny. Anyway, I don't want to do too much. Like that's just like one really tiny piece of like this big movie, so I don't think I'm doing anything, but it was well worth watching. I think it's on VOD right now.
Yeah.
I have a feeling it's going to be on some streaming service within 4 to 6 months. I don't know if it's quite worth like an entire $20 purchase it thing, but I thought it was fun, and I would probably watch it again, which I haven't felt for a lot of movies in a long time. So
yeah, we've had a pretty good run of movies lately. Apparently.
Yep. I think that Renfield is also on VOD. Need
that sounds right. Yeah,
because I wanted to see that one too, but I didn't get around to it because I've been playing fucking Breath of the Wild. I accidentally started playing Breath of the Wild because I was jonesing for Tears of the Kingdom, and I'm like, fuck. Now I'm like 30 hours into Breath of the Wild. Fuck me. What have I done? What am I doing with my life?
It happens to everybody.
Yeah. Anyway, Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, really fun, great watch. If it comes onto any streaming service, just don't hesitate to like throw it on, and then so I feel like the old spill ranking system doesn't really work anymore, because it's like, wait until it's on streaming, turn it on, and if you get bored, turn it off, and don't come crying to me. I don't fucking care. Like,
yeah,
we get used to turning things off if you don't like them. Don't suffer through the entire thing. Watch 20 minutes, and if you don't like it, be like, meh, not for me. Bye bye.
Yeah, the rental thing, it doesn't work as the same way it used to.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not really any rentals, and if you do, you're like, well, now I have it for 24 hours.
Well, also, I feel like we are just swimming in new releases every week.
Oh, 100%.
And like, there's no rush, you guys. You can wait until Dungeons & Dragons comes up. Go watch Mrs. Davis on Peacock, or go watch fucking Barry on HBO. Like, go watch something else.
There's 100 billion things.
Yeah.
That's the funniest thing. I'm actually super excited about the writer's strike.
Yeah.
Because it means that the backlog I could probably finally get through. They're not making new things.
There was finally time.
Exactly. They're not going to be making new good things, so I can watch old good things now. Or play old things, yeah.
What about you, Michael? You been doing anything interesting?
Well, while you've been in the fantasy world, I was in space.
Oh, man, I love space.
Because I watched Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 last week.
Cool.
And that movie was fantastic. I thought it was a great topper to the trilogy. And now it has 3 great movies back to back.
Without going into any detail, let me ask you this. Does it kind of close off the Guardian story?
Pretty much.
Like, could you watch those 3 as kind of a self-contained thing?
Yeah, because there's even a point where Quill just like jokingly explains what happened in Endgame to Gamora.
Oh, okay.
Because this isn't really a spoiler, because Endgame came out like a long time ago, where Gamora died.
Right.
And the past version of Gamora is now in the timeline.
Right.
And so a lot of the stuff in the movie in the beginning is Quill just being like, "Love me," and she's just like, "No." And so there's a point where they're in an elevator, and this is a clip in one of the trailers, so it's not really a spoiler, where he just explains everything that's happened involving them. He's like, "I'm just a dude who fell in love with a girl, and then that girl died. Now she's back, and now she's an asshole."
Right.
And you're just like, okay, cool. And then, but it's like also the darkest of like all 3 of them.
Okay.
Because it's just like,
is it so funny though?
No, of course, it's absolutely funny.
Okay, good.
It's just that there every now and then there'll be a joke, but then it'll go, "Hey, you want to watch animal cruelty for 5 minutes?"
Ooh.
And you're like, "Okay, yeah, sure. Let's see how this plays out."
Yeah, I think it's a little weird. Like, I haven't gotten into any specifics, but I've kind of heard a lot of like what you just said, like this kind of this idea that it's really dark, and I'm like, do you guys not remember the the first movie when Rocket turns around and he's got a bunch of fucking like metal and staples and shit in him, and like talks about how some guy did this to him as an animal. Like,
yeah, because the whole thing is that it finally delves into all of that.
Yeah.
It's finally like, so this is how Rocket became Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah.
And here's why he's very, very angry at all times.
Yeah.
You're like, no, I get it. I absolutely get it by the time the movie's done. But by the time the movie's done, it's just like James Gunn is very much like, I gotta go now.
Yeah.
So like here's the tearful goodbye. And if you guys want to do anything with this, you know, the door's still open for many of the characters if you need them.
Don't do it. Leave them alone.
And the only one who's confirmed it, because this is the funniest thing, is Chris Pratt's like, I'll do it. He's the only one on like every interview. He's like, yeah, I'll still do it. It's going to be fucking weird as shit without James, but I'll still do it, which is fair because you know he's got nothing else going on.
It's funny because when I think back, like over the last couple of years of Marvel properties, I think that the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special gave me more feelings than anything else I've seen from the MCU.
There's a lot of references to that here and there in the movie as well.
If you guys haven't watched that, the thing's like what, 45 minutes, like an hour long.
Yeah, it's not that long.
It's not that long, and it's great. It's
a super fun time.
Oh my god, it's the Drax and Mantis comedy variety show, and I loved it.
It's so much fun, and the thing is that like to me, it was the finale to the old MCU. Yeah. Because I've felt like the MCU has been dying slowly ever since Endgame finished. Because as much as I like No Way Home, that movie is just nostalgia. 100%, and I understand it. Like that's why I like it.
It's almost out of order. Like it's almost like the first Spider-Man movie because it resets to like where we should have started with Spider-Man, and instead we started like midstream through Spider-Man's story, and then we spent like 2-3 Spider-Man movies like trying to figure out how the fuck what Spider-Man stories work as a movie that are not just origin and like, oh geez, what am I gonna do? Like it again, I've bitched about it constantly, but like I always thought it was very difficult to be like, that motherfucker went to space and arm wrestled Thanos in space. Like high school drama doesn't hit as hard after you fucking arm wrestled Thanos and got erased from reality and then brought back to life again, just in time to watch your mentor die like right in front of you.
And also have like a highly advanced super armor that's made out of nanomachines. Yeah. And you're like, there's nothing relatable about any of this, guys. I'm sorry, but like now he gets to go to Europe because of his high school. I'm like, again, not very relatable.
Right. Anyway,
but that's the besides point.
Yeah.
But to me, it is the finale of the original MCU, and do with that what you will with that. Because I think at this point, I don't know if I care as much about the MCU. Okay. Because I feel like it's finally wrapped up now.
Did you watch Quantumania?
I did not yet, to be honest. It's supposed to be showing up on Disney Plus soon, though.
Like next week?
Yeah, really, really soon. I'm still gonna watch it. Like I'm not like if I'm not sold on that point, I might still end up watching a bunch of these things. Because, you know, I'm still a comic book nerd at the end of the day.
Sure.
But I probably won't watch it as closely as I used to, because I feel like that with Star Wars as well. Like, I didn't plow through all of Boba Fett the way everybody else did. I didn't even finish this third season of Mandalorian.
Yeah, me neither.
But I am addicted to Jedi Survivor.
Did you watch the second Shazam?
I did not. I planned to, and then a bunch of stuff happened where I just wasn't able to. Okay. And then they threw it on digital very, very fast.
Yeah.
And then I was going to, and then I just forgot. Yep. To be honest. Which is a shame. Because I really liked the first Shazam a lot. Yeah. But that second one didn't look very good.
I think I'm gonna kind of like, I'm demoting the superhero stuff to like, I think, you know what, a long time ago, sorry, we gotta get to news, but a long time ago I made, when I first started reading comic books, it was the 90s, right? It was Image Comics, it was all that stuff. I was a teenager and I used to read comics. I've told the story before. I used to read comics based on artists. I was like, oh man, I'll buy anything that Todd McFarlane does. That dude's a fucking art genius, even though he's not. He's fine. It's fine.
He's got some cool shit. Like, we're not gonna pretend he's not.
Right. But I used to do that. It'd be like, what did Jim Lee draw this week? I'll buy whatever that is, right? Yeah. And then after I stopped reading comics, And then when I worked at Dell when I was a teenager, and I sat across from Chris Robertson, he gave me Watchmen for my birthday, for like my 17th birthday or 18th birthday or something. I think it was my 18th birthday.
Okay.
He gave me the trade paperback for Watchmen, and I was reading it, and it was like, as somebody who was like a snob for 90s edgelord art, it was like, God, why this looks like crap. This is garbage. Fuck this. And then it was just like, this is the best thing I've ever read in my entire life. And so then he used to leave his comics at his desk. He would go get his comics, he would bring them to work, he would read them at work, and they'd leave them, and we had a crossover in our shift, so he would just leave them and I could read them after he went home. So he introduced me to all this crazy shit, and what I ended up learning was, like, you don't follow artists, you follow writers.
Yes.
You know, you follow Alan Moore around. You're like, what did Alan Moore do? I don't care. Give it to me. Is it about fucking Alice in Wonderland getting fucked as a teenager? I don't care. Just give it to me. It's fine. Like,
you gotta follow the wizards, Jeff. Follow the wizard.
And so I think that's what I've learned. I've started to learn about the MCU is that it's come to a point where it's like, who directed it? I want to know who directed it. I want to know who wrote it, and I want to know their bona fides, just like I would for any other movie. Like, I want to follow good directors, because, like, I'm actually excited to go see Guardians because I've never been dissatisfied by James Gunn's storytelling.
100%. It's the main reason. It's the only Marvel film I've watched the first weekend in quite some time.
Yeah. So I think that's where I am, and I'm really excited for him to get in the seat over at DC.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I want somebody who just knows how to tell a fucking story.
Yeah.
Who doesn't hate Jimmy Olsen so much.
Yeah, because after that movie was done, I'm like, DC is going to be just fine. It's going to be just fine.
Well, speaking of just fine, let's talk about The Legend of Zelda. Actually, that's probably more than just fine. Legend of Zelda, I think, seems like it's shaping up to be probably Game of the Year contender, even though it's not even out yet, just from the early buzz.
100%. Everybody says it jacks you off and makes you come.
Yeah, yeah. It fuses your hand to your dick, and then, you're trying to get it, and you're like, oh, God.
And then you got to recharge the battery. It's a whole thing.
Yeah. Anyway, we've got some weird stories to talk about this week, but we're going to start with an easy one. If you are planning on playing Breath of the Wild, and it's been Tears of the Kingdom, and it's been a while since you played Breath of the Wild, you might want to go and watch this 6-minute short that Nintendo put out. Watch it on their channel. I was the link I had in my notes was a game trailers one, and it's like they used one of those crappy YouTube downloaders that like looked way worse on there.
Yeah, that happens a lot. You'll Google something and it brings up like IGN or something who's reposted it.
Yeah,
and then they're the top thing.
I'll tell you, man, it's so easy to recap Breath of the Wild that I kind of am disappointed, because it's like Ganon came and blew everything up, and then 100 years later, Link had to purify the 4 beasts and get the Master Sword and then kill Ganon. The end. And it's like, and then he did that. The end of the story.
One thing a lot of people forget about Nintendo games is they're really easy to recap.
Yeah.
Like, you can recap Mario Odyssey in like a few minutes.
Mario Odyssey is a concept. It's not a story.
Exactly. That's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean, though. Yeah.
But the thing is that I'm actually playing Breath of the Wild right now, and there is a lot of nuance, and there's a lot of crazy shit that happens in there.
There's a lot of side stuff in it, of course.
Yeah.
Like any game.
But you can sum up, like, I think the beats of what you need. Like, I don't think you need to know the 4 parts of the person at the horse emporium that wants fucking you to go find some wheat for them. Like, you don't need to know that part of the story.
You don't need to know about the guy who's like, could you get me some apples? You're like,
right.
Yeah, cool.
Right. So yeah, go watch that. I mean, like, it's a good recap, and I think that from what I've seen, I also think that Nintendo is smart enough to make it so, like, do you have to have played this to play Tears of the Kingdom? No, absolutely not. Like, you could just go in. I wouldn't be surprised if this video was the first thing that happens when you hit the start button.
I wouldn't be surprised either. For Jedi Survivor had something like that.
Yeah. Like, I think game companies are cognizant enough to let you know.
I think the only thing not mentioned in this is the Hyrule Warrior story.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think is that important. At least for the main story.
I don't think so either. Anyway, so yeah, go check that out. It's pretty cool. So that's a good thing. Now let's go to some not so good things. So Of all the game companies in the world, Michael, that have feelings about emulation, Nintendo is by far the most bitchy. They're the
100%.
they are the most litigious and bitchy. We had that story a few weeks back about how they fined that guy like $12 million. The guy's like, I'll never be able to pay this back.
Yeah,
Like my entire life, I'll never be able to pay
That
this
gif
back.
of a SWAT team like taking down a house is just Nintendo.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, Tears of the Kingdom. I talked about it with Bryce last week. Tears of the Kingdom leaked onto the internet, and this. What's weird about this, though, is that I believe that this happened because some retailers shipped copies early.
Yeah, that happens a lot with them.
And so I was on the Tears of the Kingdom subreddit, and I saw somebody that like their local game store. They were just like, "Yeah, man, fucking, I don't care. Here, have it." And I know that journalists have it because they're putting out their reviews, and they have to have had it for like a week, right? So that game has been out in the wild. The thing is that once it got into people's hands, they immediately ripped it and put it on torrent sites, like you fucking do, right? Every single game that comes out, if it comes out early, it's going to be on the piracy scene. That's just the way of the fucking world.
Yeah, usually when somebody gets it early, there's always the one guy who's like, I know how to rip this, and then they go from there.
Yeah. So apparently this time, though, it really cheesed Nintendo off. And so they took a very strange step. They didn't go after the emulators, and they didn't go after the pirate sites, because I think they've learned that both of those, like, first off, emulators, like, the thing is that as much as Nintendo would love to shut them down, emulators are legitimate technology.
Yes.
Like, they're not illegal. It is not illegal for you to like have an emulator, rip your own ROMs, and play your games where you want to. The pirate sites, they've just become like whack-a-mole, right? Like you host it on some file hosting website, then you take that down, and it goes to another one, it goes to another one, it goes to another one, or torrents or whatever, and then a new torrent shows up. Like, you can't, what are you gonna do? Prosecute all 80,000 people seeding the Tears of the Kingdom torrent? No, you're not going to do that.
They would have tried, though.
If they could have found out, like, right. So what they did was they issued a DMCA takedown to GitHub for the software that is used to dump ROMs off of your Switch.
Ooh.
And the thing is that I think this is really weird because, okay, their rationale is that the only way for you to use this software is to have jailbroken a Switch. So, like, early Switches had I looked all this shit up. I may have dabbled a little bit. Don't come after me, Nintendo. You'll never find me. I move around. I'm like the wind. I'm like Kaiser Soze. So early Switches had a security exploit where you could get custom firmware onto them. That custom firmware will allow you to run custom apps, and one of those apps is this thing called Lockpick, and that thing can be used to dump a ROM of a cart off of a Switch and then load it into an emulator. You can also dump firmware and like updates and stuff like that. Nintendo's assertion here is that you can't run that software without circumventing their trusted platform module, the TPM module, because obviously a regular vanilla Switch has no way to dump ROMs off of.
Yeah, of course.
So you have to run custom firmware in order to do it. So that's Nintendo's position. The counterpoint to this is that it is not illegal for you to dump ROMs off of your device.
No.
It is not illegal for you to do shit with your device. Like, it's my Switch. I purchased it from you, Nintendo. Like, get the fuck out of my house. Like,
yeah, it was the main loophole for ROMs for a long time, was that a lot of people were just like, just say that you did it yourself.
Right.
Like, if you that's why a lot of times when I was younger, I was paranoid for a little bit, where I would only download ROMs of Super Nintendo games I literally owned.
Right.
And I did that a lot, actually, until one day I was like, I don't fucking care. I'm just gonna download whatever.
Yeah. So the thing is that this has had a little bit of a chilling effect on one. There's one. So GitHub is taking down that software. I think that they're currently kind of going around and around with it. But there's also the further news came out that There's another emulation team that was working on an emulator. I can't find what the fucking name of it was. Anyway, I think Skyline was the name of it. It was like, so there's a couple of them out there, and there was another team that was working on this, and they said, fucking, we're done. Because the problem with them was that if Lockpick wasn't available, they can't work on their emulator because every time updates happen, they have to adjust settings on their emulator to deal with new firmwares and new updates and things like that. So it has had a chilling effect. The problem that I have with this, Michael, is that, like, I don't want to be like a fucking I don't want to be like what's his face in Hackers. It's like riding a skateboard by the limo, Short Circuit guy. He's in the Succession. He's really skinny, and his head looks way too big. Anyway. But, like, you can't fucking stop this shit, man. Like, what you've done is you've taken down a legitimate tool. Well, guess what? Like, those teams will continue working and then putting their shit on the same torrent sites where the ROMs are. Like, you're not going to have a thing where people are like, oh, no, the legitimate method for getting ROMs off my Switch no longer exists. And I, as the majority of people that use this software legitimately, will now have to purchase Nintendo games and never emulate anything ever again. Like, that's not going to fucking happen, man.
No,
like,
that's just not how it works.
Yeah.
If they were going these lengths, they're just going to go another way. That's all it is.
Yeah. I mean, like, I was looking at it. I was like, guys, you don't know how crazy the internet is. People will start building, like, custom boards to plug the cartridge into that's connected to, like, a fucking, that's on the mainframe or whatever, and, like, pulling off the binary and then recompiling it with some bullshit that some dude in Wyoming wrote in his basement, because you're not going to stop people from pirating this Legend of Zelda game, man.
Of course not. The people go to the lengths that Doc Brown went in Back to the Future 3 to make ice.
Right.
With that giant fucking machine.
Right.
Like, they're going to do the exact same thing.
Yes.
Go to extreme lengths not to pay for it.
And here's and you know what? I wanted to use this as a brief, like, jumping off point to another thing. Like, I also consider this, like, it's worth pointing out. It's worth remembering to everybody. I do not think of corporations as good or evil, right? Like, we talk about Game Pass, and, like, we like Game Pass and stuff, but I don't think Microsoft, they're, like, good guys.
Most corporations are chaotic neutral at best.
Yeah.
Most. There are evil ones.
Like, so some people are going to be using emulators to steal games, right? They're gonna be like, I want Animal Crossing. I don't want to fucking pay for it. I'm gonna steal it off the internet. Fine, whatever. But there's also a certain group of people out there that are like, I want to run Bayonetta 3 with a 60 frames per second mod so that it doesn't run like garbage on this fucking iPad that is at this point like 6 years old, 7 years old, right?
It's
like,
about 7. Yeah, I think about 7 years old now.
It wasn't like it was the top of the pops when it came out. Like, it wasn't the fucking fastest hardware on the block.
No, yeah, even when it came out, I think we were still comparing it to the 360 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, correctly. Like, it was like, I think we were
like the
comparing it to
or something like that.
the launch PS4 and launch Xbox One,
yeah.
but like like the later version stuff from there. Anyway, we have a story that is coming up about this, but like, I think that Nintendo bears some of the responsibility for this, where it's like, some people are using this to get your games to run well, because we are living in a world where we've got $500 fucking 4K 120 frames per second variable refresh rate HDR ray trace shadows, and you're running fucking Mario on a goddamn iPad, and some people want a better experience with their games.
Yeah.
Right?
They're in this weird limbo where they're basically making 3DS games.
Yeah.
Like fancy 3DS games.
Yes.
Because they're pretty sure people want to use the Switch as a portable more than they do on TV, which is not 100% wrong, but it's not exactly like a good method to get hardcore gamers to want to buy stuff on your system.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, and the other thing that I feel is a little bit irritating about this situation is, it's like, okay, I'm gonna fuck up my news float here, but like they came out and said like, no, there's not going to be a Switch 2 or a refresh or a hardware update of any kind this year, at least.
Yeah.
And it's like, you are making us wait for too long. Like, there are a lot of Switch games that run like ass, and it's not acceptable. It's the same. Last week I spent fucking 40 minutes bitching about Redfall and Jedi Fallen Order and how I don't think that those games are acceptable with the thousands of dollars that are in front of me of televisions and PlayStations and Switches and controllers and all this stuff. Like, I don't think it's acceptable for these companies, for Nintendo to just sit around. And I wouldn't even have a problem if their games ran at like 30 frames per second. Like, it's actually a testament to how good Nintendo is at game development that we're willing to put up with what is essentially like a substandard gaming experience in the year 2023, because like, where else are you going to get a Zelda game, right?
Yeah, because the main thing that keeps Nintendo afloat is its first party.
Yeah,
because its third party, our offerings are terrible compared to the versions on everybody else's systems.
Yeah.
When they announced Mortal Kombat 11 on it, I was like, how's that work? And my friend of mine had it, and I played it. I'm like, nothing's moving in the background.
Right.
They're all still background images that are like not even all that detailed. And like, it was fucking horrendous. I felt like I was playing like an alpha of the game. And then everything they've come out with since that is like something that's on a PS5 or the Series X are all cloud-based. Guardians of the Galaxy, Resident Evil 8. It's like, what is the
Control,
point?
I believe,
because
was one
you're
of those.
like, yeah, you can now play them, but not really on the go because it's all on the cloud. So you can't. Like, it destroys the point of wanting it on the Switch. To begin with.
Exactly.
So it's like, fuck that.
I mean, like, the thing is that I'm not even asking. I don't think that they should be putting out a PlayStation 5. I just want something that's like twice as powerful as the Switch. Something that'll run 4K, something that'll run, I don't even need it to be fucking high frame rate, just like consistent, right? Like consistent. I mean, so I think that Nintendo bears a little bit of the responsibility where it's like, if you don't want people to pirate your games and running them on these fucking Galaxy-powered PCs that we've got now with all this DLSS and ray tracing and all this crazy shit, then fucking give me, I'm willing to pay, I have shown that I am willing to pay $500 to play, so that I can give you additional $60 for video games.
I'm the same way. If they came out with another, I have the LLDD Switch.
Yeah.
And I like it a lot, but it doesn't really do any more than the original Switch does.
No, it's got a nicer screen.
It's got a nicer screen. It's got a longer battery life, and that's kind of it. Because even the Ethernet port, you can buy like a separate one. Yeah. For like your actual Switch, so it doesn't really matter the same.
Yeah, so I say boo Nintendo. Like, I know that the Switch has been a very good seller for you, but I feel like it's been a little too long, and I don't know.
They've got comfortable. Yeah, they've gotten really too comfortable.
Well, they're also, I mean, as you and I both know, they're incredibly conservative. They move very slowly. They do not like to make moves. In fact, their sin is usually sloth. They usually wait too long when you're just like, come the fuck on. And
well, that's the reason they're treating it, like I said, they're treating it like their handhelds.
Right.
Because their handhelds were the slowest of changing for a long time. Like, even though there's like a million versions of it, they were still the same versions for the most part. Right. Just slightly fancier. Yeah. So it's like, so that's kind of where we are, is that they're focused more on the idea of handheld than they are on the actual like full game experience.
So, but let's see, this DMCA spree had some interesting effects. One of them was
I heard about this,
that Alana Pierce was doing a reaction to like Nintendo approved preview footage that was on the Skill Up channel and was DMCA struck and had her stream taken down immediately. Yeah. And it was like, but you approved this.
Yeah, I felt really bad for Alana, because I've met Alana once. Yeah, I got to interview her for one of us, and she is just a delightful human being. And so when I heard about this, I was like, oh, that sucks. Yeah. So that sucks. Also, here's another problem. The emulation community is apparently
here's the thing: is that like, okay, so none of the name brand emulators will integrate support for Tears of the Kingdom until it comes out, right?
Yeah.
They will not do any updates with the leaked files because that would bring the fucking wrath of Ninty down on them. Doug Bowser comes over to your house and kicks you in the dick,
Dressed as Bowser.
dressed as Bowser. Is Jack Black with him? It's weird.
They double team the shit out of you.
So the Reddits for these piracy groups, or for people that it's just people that are trying to run it, right? So you can't just talk about it on like you go to a Reddit, you create a shady Reddit, right? You start talking about it, and so then people start posting links of like, oh well, this fixes this one problem, and then it turns out that no, that's malware, and then it's like people are forking GitHubs because you could fork a Git. You don't have to have permission. You just fork anybody's GitHub. Forking a GitHub for an emulator and being like, here's the Tears of the Kingdom fix, and then it's got like a backdoor for like sending your data off to fucking like the thing is somebody did a packet sniff on one of them and it was communicating with something in Belarus and they were like, what the fuck is going on over here?
Well, that's how you get them. Everybody's going after the big fish.
Yeah.
And nobody, when they do that, they don't think about it.
Yep.
They go super into it, not really paying attention.
Yep.
And if everything's an exe file when you're trying to get something to work on a computer.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the easiest fucking disaster recipe.
Yep. And boy, I feel really bad because how do you know? How do you know if somebody's like,
be super safe about it?
oh, this fixes this big problem. Like this fixes the frame rate. Just replace your emulator with this exe file, and it's like, oh man.
Yeah, because you can't just go up to Nintendo and be like, how do I make this work?
Right.
Because I remember when that happened with the guy who did that to the developers for Rocksteady for Arkham Asylum.
Yeah.
It was the funniest fucking thing.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because he's like, how come I can't glide down? It's like, because you fucking dumbass
stole the game.
stole the game and you just admitted to it like a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
And it was the funniest thing.
I really, the other thing I wanted to mention briefly was that like, I wish that Sony has finally wised up to it, right? But I kind of wish that Nintendo would wise up to like, do you know how much fucking money you would make if you put Super Mario Odyssey on the PC? Like,
100%.
do you know how much fucking money you would make if you put Breath of the Wild on the goddamn PC? Like, I know that, like, it's hard for them because the problem is that people will still buy Breath of the Wild for $60 now.
Yes.
Like, after it's been out for years and years. So their games don't tend to lose as much, but like
they never lose value. There are games that came out 20 years ago that are now 4 times the amount they cost when they came out.
Yeah. I kept my Wii U. That's my retirement. I'm just going to sell that thing. It's like a fine wine. It just gets better over time.
I sold mine for rent money because it was covered in dust, and I was like, Wonderful 101's on my Switch now. It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I don't know. I think they should do that. Speaking of the Wii U, I didn't even do that. They had there was an interview that happened this week with Aonuma. Wait, is that how you say it? The director on Breath of the Wild.
I'm not sure how to say his name.
Where is it? A.G. Aonuma. Yeah, Aonuma.
Yeah.
Talking about the development of Breath of the Wild. And because Breath of the Wild started its life as a Wii U game, there was a bunch of shit that they couldn't do. And a lot of that got written down on like the whiteboard, and then when they got finished and they started the new game, they started Tears of the Kingdom, they were like, what of this can we do? Like apparently Aonuma wanted there to be flying in Breath of the Wild, but they couldn't, because it had to be Wii U compatible, they couldn't make it work. And so there's a nice little quote here where he's also like, so when they told me we couldn't fly, I was like, well, what if you could just dig anywhere? And they were like, no, shut up.
Stop making new ideas.
But one of the things that's really interesting here is he talks about how like that those limitations were some of the reasons why you didn't have like the sort of legacy dungeons from original Zelda, right?
Yeah.
You had the kind of puzzle boxes that were the big beasts, the big beast robots.
Yeah.
But you didn't have like the go through the boomerang dungeon and learn how to use the boomerang and then use the boomerang on the boss, which I actually didn't care as much about because I kind of hate the way that a lot of modern Zelda games are like, you got the hook shot and this whole place is now about the fucking hook shot.
Yeah.
As opposed to like, I don't know, set a barrel on fire and roll it downhill and see what happens.
Well, because for a long time, Zelda games were based on go to X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
You weren't allowed to go to Y, Z, and then X until I think Link Between Worlds was the first one that was like, you know what, do whatever you want. Go in whatever direction you want.
Actually, the thing is that as an old man, that used to be what Zelda was until the N64. Like Link to the Past, you can go wherever the fuck you want. You can just go around. You can play that, like, find some stuff. You can go over to this forest. You can do whatever the fuck you want. You do a lot of things in any order that you want. And then when they got onto the 3D Zeldas, they finally started kind of railroading people down, like, you need to do this and then this and then this. And then that was why I liked Breath of the Wild so much, because it was like, oh, suddenly it's just like, I don't know, man, do whatever. And it's like, yay. And then I was like, oh, this world is way too big. Fuck you.
That happens a lot with open world games for me. The first time I played Horizon Zero Dawn, they're like, go wherever. I'm like, I don't know what to do. There's too many things. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Don't make me choose.
Yeah. I really want to get that motorcycle before I finally finish replaying Breath of the Wild.
I think the issue with that is you have to get really far in the game before you get it.
I know. Anyway, so yeah, it's an interesting interview, and it's well worth reading. And what's interesting too is if you hear this and you haven't yet started, it has some interesting Tears of the Kingdom specifics stuff about that game that I didn't actually know because I haven't talked about it.
Okay.
So yep. And then I think last on the Zelda parade. Did you see this ad?
I did.
This Australian Tears of the Kingdom
This
ad?
really depressing ad.
Like, I read this whole article on Polygon that was like, finally, representation for me, sad dads. Because it's like this guy, he's on the bus and his life is like miserable, and then he like goes home and he obviously has children, like there's toys on the floor, but you never see him in any part of this ad.
No, yeah.
Like his wife like says good night, then he like sits down, and then he proceeds to play The Legend of Zelda really poorly. Like he tries.
Because he works 70 hours a week, Jeff.
That guy needs.
He's only played a game maybe for an hour a day.
And there's a lot of like muttering to himself. There's a lot of oh yeah, cool. Like he tries to make a boat and he's just bad at it. Like, dude. Like, come on, you don't have to, like, he just puts like a log in the water and then puts a sail on it. It's like, I made a boat, and then it like just keels over. And I'm like, come on, dumbass. Like, you don't have to have watched the preview footage, but like use your fucking brain for a second.
It is really funny. Like, at least like watching him badly play it.
Yeah.
But I get what they were going for.
Oh yeah.
It's just also incredibly depressing because of it.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, are you an adult who works way too much and now and you feel like you lost the sense of reality? Play Zelda so you can regain your sense of fun. It's like, what the fuck?
He's like playing it on the bus on his way back to his 70-hour-a-week job.
Yeah,
like,
it's just like, dude, like.
And at the very end, he looks out the window and like the sun is out and like the birds are chirping and like they turn the saturation back up from the fucking beginning of Joe's volcano
It cranks
filter
me up
they
because
have.
it seems like if it wasn't for Zelda, he was like days away from suiciding his family.
Yeah, it's so like grim at the beginning, and it's like, dude, he's like on this bus and he's like looking out the window and it's just like this, like, oh man. And like, aren't you surrounded by people? You can be like, hey, what's your deal? What are you up to?
You're gonna play the new Zelda?
Like
anything. Instead, he's just depressed. And it's probably minutes. If he was in Australia, he would have gone onto a killing spree. Is what I'm saying. But
yeah.
Thanks to Zelda, not today.
It's well, what's interesting about it, I don't know if you know this, but I was reading through this, and apparently the ad agency that created this was they were made to do it based on a Japanese Amazon review for Breath of the Wild. Like, literally, it's like they took the story of this guy where the guy says, oh, the ceaseless grind of my salaryman existence, like, and then I finally saw a ray of hope, like, when I had some fun playing video games. And I'm like, this isn't a really, okay, like, Okay, good. I'm glad that you had fun.
I'm happy that happened.
I'm glad that you didn't die of you just turned to stone in the middle of the street or anything. But like by the same token, hey, what are we doing? We're like Breath of the Wild is what the middle-aged men need to like. I mean, I get it. I know.
I get it. Yeah.
I'm middle-aged.
I'm not going to pretend
my beard or anything.
I'm not going to pretend I don't get it.
Right.
Because sometimes in life you need games.
Yes. Yes.
It's just what it is. It is what it is, guys.
This guy also has a really nice house.
He does, which is how he bought all these Zelda things.
Nice clothes. Like it's the cheapest one. Dude, go get Call of Duty. You'll love it. Like stop playing this game for babies and go get go play some Apex Legends, my man.
You could easily edit this entire thing to be like the most violent video game you could find.
Oh my god, it's where he's got like and then you just cut over to like Hitman.
Yeah.
Or just like
or
shoot people in the back of the head.
Something.
Yeah, exactly. Or like Dead Island 2 where you're just fucking hacking zombies apart.
And then he looks out the window all super cheerful.
Like, yeah, that was what I needed. Some murder. Yeah. Anyway, go check that out. Let's see from there. Speaking of murder, speaking of gruesome murder, we got a little bit of more of an update on Mortal Kombat.
12-ish?
Well,
not sure what to call it now.
Yeah, I think, what was it, last week or the week before we had...
I think it was last week, if I remember correctly.
The Sands. Oh, yeah, that's right. Because I tried to explain Chronica to Bryce, and he just sighed and rolled his eyes at me because, of course he did. Of course he did.
It's fair.
If you're not a fan of Mortal Kombat, and you watch this teaser where there's just like the second hand going around a clock, and it goes to 11, and then it like jumps from 11 to 1, and you'd be like, what the fuck does that mean? And all the Mortal Kombat people are like, oh shit, oh man.
I was losing my shit. I wrote the article for this for Bell of Lost Souls.
Yeah.
And the ending of my article was wild speculation. And then I just wrote a paragraph of what I wanted and what I thought it meant. And I'm like, I want to talk about this a lot real bad.
So for anybody that doesn't know, Mortal Kombat 11 had Chronica as like the big bad gal. Turns out she'd been behind the scenes. It was Chronica all along.
It turns out she was the Mortal Kombat fan base.
Yep.
And she was like, I hate where this is going.
Yep.
And kept trying to reset the timeline.
Yep.
To make it more like what she wanted, where the characters make out or something.
Yep.
Like her fan fiction where it writes out. But they kept failing.
Yep.
And she was just so pissed off about it. She's like, well, I guess I'll just murder everybody.
And then at the end of the what was it? That wasn't Annihilation. That was
Aftermath.
Aftermath. Yeah. You basically get the choice about whether Shang Tsung or Liu Kang becomes like the new Time Lord.
But everybody knows like Shang Tsung wasn't the one who wins that battle. As much as you kind of wish he did, because you want to see what happens.
It would be one thing if they kept it really ambiguous what happened next, but he's like, and then I crushed everyone and murdered all of my it's like
just murdered all my enemies.
Okay,
and I'm also the sexiest man in the timeline now.
Yes.
It's like what?
So the thing is that this indicates that we're not going to be getting Mortal Kombat 12. That we're probably we might be rebooting the whole timeline.
There's no way that's not what's happening.
Yeah.
The issue though is we don't know where in the timeline we're starting from.
Yep.
Because the ending, I don't remember if it's the original ending or the ending, the Aftermath, where Liu Kang walks into the original Kung Lao's house.
Yep.
And he's like, "Hey, I want to talk to you. I hear you're pretty cool," because he's as big Mortal Kombat nerds know, the original Kung Lao was the original Mortal Kombat champion until Goro murdered his ass.
Yep.
So what's going to happen from then on? Like, are we going to see the original Mortal Kombat tournament? Or are we going to, like, fast forward where it turns out, thanks to Liu Kang, Kung Lao is just fucking murdering all the time?
It's good. Hard to say.
Like, we don't know.
Give me Cyborg
know.
Goro, you know.
That'd be, I would play that, yeah.
Give me movie star Shao Kahn. I don't care. just mix it up, man.
Johnny Kahn.
Yeah, it's just Johnny Kahn wins. Yeah, I mean, there's got to be a timeline where fucking Scorpion and Motaro make out, and I want to see that with the skull face and the giant Tiger Man.
I was a big fan of the MK9 timeline because by the end of it, Johnny Cage was Earth's mightiest mortal.
Right. Oh yeah. No, I loved it.
Everyone died, and the only one left was Johnny Cage.
It's just Johnny Cage,
and he did a really good job. As it turns out.
Johnny Cage. Johnny Cage was the best one. Well, that's the whole plot of 9, right?
Yeah, that was the whole plot of 9. Everybody dies except except for Johnny Cage and Sonya.
Is that Raiden is like, oh, I got to find Earth's mightiest hero, and he keeps trying to make it Liu Kang, and nope, it wasn't Liu Kang. So
yeah, it all ends with him murdering Liu Kang.
Yep.
And then they're like, well, now what? Johnny Cage has to beat up Shinnok.
Yep, that's what happens.
It fucking worked.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that we get some more. I mean, like,
You think the Kombat kids will come back?
God, I hope not. I did not like them very much.
You like, hey, Cassie Cage?
You know what I really want? You know what I really want is I want a fucking third-person action game. I want Shaolin Monks 2, and I want it to be. You remember that one chapter in Mortal Kombat 11 where Sub-Zero and Scorpion were like infiltrating the Cyborg Ninja facility?
Yeah.
They're just broing out, being like the best of friends. I'm like, I want more of that. I love the Sub-Zero Scorpion bromance. Like,
I'm so mad still because that was supposed to be the sequel originally.
yeah.
Yeah.
That whole, like, just the two of them.
Yeah, they were going to call it Fire and Ice, and it was going to be a Sub-Zero Scorpion game.
Oh, that sounds great. That sounds
And
great.
The fucking Midway went bankrupt.
Yeah, is that why when you beat the game they just put them in there and you can just play?
I think that's what started it. Yeah.
Inexplicably play all of Shaolin Monks, but with Scorpion and Sub-Zero.
And it's fantastic.
Because me and my buddy, we played through that entire game and it was wonderful. And then we got to the end and they were like, we unlocked Scorpion Sub-Zero, and I was like, which one do you want? He was like, Scorpion. I'm like, good, because I want Sub-Zero. Then we just played the entire game a second time through. So
Sub-Zero's the best. He's my favorite.
Yeah,
Liu Kang and Sub-Zero my two favorites, and
Boo,
Johnny
Liu
Cage is
Kang.
my third favorite.
Boo Liu Kang. Boo Liu Kang.
Now
Anyway,
he's a fire god.
we
Boys moving up.
hopefully we're gonna get to see more. I mean, the thing is that we're right on the cusp, right?
Yeah, the theory is that they're going to show off whatever it is at the PlayStation Showcase at the end of the month. That's the theory, because there's a lot of people online who like making up rumors.
Yeah.
Like the Metal Gear Solid 3 rumor that happens every 20 minutes.
Yep. Oh, don't worry, we have that. We have that. We have that. Let's see. But before we get to that, we had some more Mortal Kombat news. Apparently, fucking Carl Urban is in the final talks to be Johnny Cage in the sequel to that horrible Mortal Kombat movie that guy made. That they're letting him make a sequel to. They're letting him continue to make Mortal Kombat movies, Michael.
It did really well is the issue.
How is this possible? But did they watch it with their eyeballs? Because it was fucking terrible.
Well,
it was god awful.
Its budget was pretty low, I think, is the main thing.
Obviously.
So it made them X amount of money.
Goro looked like a PS3 fucking cutscene.
I
Like,
can't help but laugh at the fact that the main character's power was literally plot armor.
yep.
That was literally his power.
Yep.
But this is such a strange choice for Johnny Cage. It's not because I don't like Carl Urban.
Oh, I love Carl
It's
Urban.
because Johnny Cage needs to be a pompous fucking weirdo, whereas Carl Urban is not that character in anything I've ever seen him in. He's usually like the gruffer guy.
He's a bit of a cheeky dick in The Boys, right? Like,
Yeah, but he's also like very, very English
Right.
when he's doing that.
I mean, I think Carl Urban could do it. My biggest question is, I'm like, how old is Carl Urban? I mean, I know
Well, that's the other thing. Carl Urban is what, in his 50s, maybe 40s, 50s.
Yeah.
And Johnny Cage is like a guy who's like the height of his fame, usually, depending on what time frame you see him in.
Do you know who would be a really good Johnny Cage if he could act? Logan Paul.
Here's the funny thing is I don't disagree with that. I probably would watch that because he actually would be really good at that.
Yeah.
But
Johnny
like,
Cage is supposed to be a fucking... He's supposed to be a shithead.
yeah,
Like,
he's a shithead. He's the guy that you believe would walk into a room and think he's the most important person on the planet.
in the Mortal Kombat games, he's got his own first name tattooed across his pecs.
And it's amazing.
Like,
All I know is if the movie only needs one thing for me to love his Johnny Cage,
Yeah.
which is a ball punching sequence
of course.
every single time.
Can Carl Urban do the splits?
Yes.
That's the question.
Can he do the splits and punch Goro in the balls?
Yes.
Actually, I think they already killed Goro, didn't they?
Yep.
But either way,
That was that
he
plot
needs to
armor
punch people in the
dumbass.
balls.
Do you remember the name of the guy? How many of you that even like that movie remember the name of the main character from that fucking movie?
It was Cole, right?
I don't know. Was it?
That's the problem. I don't remember. It was something super generic. But, and then, God, that movie frustrates me to no end. The only good part was the Scorpion Sub-Zero fight, and that fight makes no sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I like, for all the awesomeness that Mortal Kombat has, the fact that was what they got out of a movie for that is like, it was so disappointing.
The only good thing we got was all the memes.
Yeah.
My favorite one was the Professor Farnsworth. Like, what happened to Shioryu? To shreds, you say?
Yeah, it was It was bad.
That's really not very good. I hated that.
It was bad. It was bad. Anyway, we got to move on. Speaking of fighting games, we got the announcement for Street Fighter 6 having an open beta. We got the closed beta, but now I got the open beta, and we got the lineup. We got a bunch of new people. So we got Luke and Jaime, Jamie.
Yeah. Well, it's all the characters you could use in the second closed beta.
Oh, okay.
As so there's a list of them on there.
Chun-Li,
there's 8 of them.
Jury,
and it's great
Kimberly.
because you had to sign up for the original,
Guile.
betas, and I never got a chance to do it. And so I'm excited for this because it's over a weekend.
Ken and Ryu
later in the month.
Yep.
And it's also good for the people who've been playing it illegally.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Yeah, because those guys really wanted to play it, and because fuck Capcom, I guess.
Yeah, May 19th through the 21st, and it's going to have crossplay between the Xbox, PlayStation, and Steam. So
I'm very excited.
Get all of them.
Also, this image that they have here would have been a way better cover for Free Street Fighter 6 than what we actually have.
Oh, then Luke?
Yeah, then fucking Luke.
Who likes Luke in his Van Halen t-shirt?
I don't know why they're really pushing Luke real hard.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I guess. Because he came out in 5, and they're like, he's going to be very important later. And then I'm like, is he, though?
But is he? But really?
Yeah.
I mean,
he's the next guy, I guess.
I mean, you got to, the thing is that you do have to empathize a little bit with the people making Street Fighter, where they're just like, when we created this franchise, it's like, okay, well, these guys, the characters that we made up are the main characters. And now it's been fucking 30 years, and people are like, I want Ryu to be the main character. And you're like, I got this brand new guy I've been working on for like 3 years. And they're like, no, same one, never change.
Well, the issue is that they kept doing that where they're like, well, then somehow Bison returned.
Right.
And they just did that over and over again for 20 years.
That's true.
Until finally somebody was like, can we kill Bison? They're like, I guess. Let's just finally get rid of his ass.
Yep. Yeah. In other Street Fighter news, it was kind of interesting. We had a interview with the president of Capcom talking about what they're expecting from Street Fighter 6. And apparently they're hoping that it's going to sell 10 million copies.
Holy shit. That is super ambitious.
It is. Like, that may not sound a lot because we talk a lot of times whenever the number of copies of a game that gets sold come up. Like, but that's a lot for a fighting game.
No, it's massive for a fighting game.
Yeah.
And 5 really left a lot of bad taste in people's mouth. Mm-hmm. So I think it would take a lot of goodwill to make people want to buy it day one again.
Yes.
Although they've done a really good job that, because I'm going to buy it day one because I'm a giant fucking Street Fighter nerd.
Sure.
So, but
you don't represent the general game buying public.
There's a lot of casual gamers I know who are like 5, and they were like, because 5 fucked up everything for everybody.
Yeah.
Like, it was the moment Capcom really shit the bed, and then it took them fucking almost 10 years to finally, gain people's trust again.
The thing is that they might be able to do it. They might be able to.
It's got a better chance than it would have done if it came out like maybe before Resident Evil 7 did.
Mm-hmm. I like it. They've definitely broadened the markeing. They've broadened the target, like from just the fighting scene to like kind of just, hey, everybody, Street Fighter, it's here.
They've added a lot of single player content to it.
Yep. They also pointed out that Monster Hunter and Resident Evil both managed to hit those like 10 million targets. So like maybe the thing is that
it's got a good chance purely for its character creator.
Yeah.
I saw somebody make Ice Spice with it.
What's Ice Spice?
It's a singer or something for one of the Spice Girls or something. I think or something. I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know.
There's only 5 Spice Girls.
They
Ginger, Posh, Sporty, Scary,
I guess
and Baby.
Ice Spice is a new singer or something. But
oh God, why do I know that?
I'm surprised you know that. But they made the singer. I saw an image of her, and I saw the creative character. I'm like, that's a 1-to-1, and that's fucking creepy.
Just to put this in perspective, Mortal Kombat 11 did very well with 15 million units.
That's pretty good.
The top seller, I don't think this is fair. This article puts the top seller is Smash at 30 million.
Well, that's the ultimate casual fighting game,
right? So
that makes sense. Like that's a good way of being like, here's the max casual, and here's like the max like maybe hardcore,
right?
Kind of thing. And that they're expecting like the middle. Is what they're hoping for. Like that's a great hope for, but I
just hope that I just hope that this is a this is what I would like, but I'll be more than happy if we only sell 7.5.
I hope they don't like get super disappointed and then start firing a bunch of people.
I hope that they don't pull a Square and they're just like, we only sold 8.75 million units. Fire everybody and stop making Street Fighter. Sell the IP off to some Norwegian company.
Yeah, it's like that parent. They're like, why not the A plus?
Right.
Like, it's like, but I got the A. It's like, but yeah, but you didn't but you weren't perfect.
Yep. Let's see. From there, I did want to just, it's funny, I wanted to just kind of put this out there. Capcom has a hell of a Humble bundle on right now.
Capcom has been great. I've been really happy with Capcom.
But no, for right now through May 24th, they've got the Capcom Heroic Collection bundle, minimum pledge of $30 on Humble, and then it has Monster Hunter Rise, Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, Mega Man Legacy Collection 1 and 2, Phoenix Wright Trilogy, Mega Man 11, Dragon's Dogma Dark 11, the Strider Remake from 2014, Lost Planet 3 Complete Pack, and Bionic Commando Rearmed.
That is a really good fucking bundle.
That's a hell of a lineup.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So...
Also, Bionic Commando Rearmed, guys, that game is fucking chef's kiss.
Ooh, yes.
It's such a perfect game.
Yes,
which is why it's so frustrating that what they did after was such a shame.
Who did I have to explain that to recently? I explained to somebody where they were like, what about Bionic Commando? Oh, I think I explained to Blake.
Oh, God.
He was like, whatever happened to that? And I was like, well, they made a remake and it was very good. And then it was supposed to support the one where the guy had dreadlocks and his wife was in his arm. And he was like, the what now? And I was like, no, you heard me. Like,
and Super Joe was the bad guy.
And Super Joe was the bad guy.
And he was voiced by Steve Bloom and he had a very, very weird mustache.
Let's finish up with those rumors you were talking about. I don't know, man. There's certain rumors that are rumors, and there's certain rumors that, like, this is plausible.
Well, the problem with this one is that there's one rumor in there that gets talked about every 20 seconds.
Yes.
But there's a lot of rumors around that, though, that sounds more plausible.
This rumor is that Sony has made a deal with Konami to make the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, which... I think the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake is a thing because I heard Jason Schreier talk about it on the fucking Triple Click podcast. And I don't think that dude would have like put that out there if there wasn't some really rock solid evidence.
Well, that's the thing is that like I think it's most likely is a thing. The problem is every time a conference comes up, there's one guy who's like they're going to announce it.
Right.
I swear, like on my grandmother's grave.
Right.
So it's a boy who cried wolf situation where I'm like I won't believe it until it's like in my fucking face.
Sure.
Because this is getting ridiculous.
But as if that wasn't heartbreaking enough for you and I in this podcast, this rumor has also said that it's a deal with Konami over Metal Gear Solid 3, Silent Hill, and possibly a new Castlevania game.
Yeah.
And it's like... So the problem with this, right, is that it's very plausible, especially given the way that Konami is like outsourcing stuff to Western developers for Silent Hill,
and they've been ramping up a lot more than they ever have.
Yep, and it's like, and they feel like they're like with Silent Hill stuff that they want to make another push, and that they've got it. They've got all that shit sitting there, and if Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake is a thing for modern consoles, and they're going to make it look fucking amazing, that shit's going to sell like goddamn wildfire.
Oh, everyone's going to buy it.
Like, it's been, how long has it been since MGS5 came out? Like...
7-8 years, maybe?
I know it's just worthless goddamn pandering, but I can't help myself. I'm going to go buy it. Like,
I'd buy it even if it came out and they're like, oh, it turns out it's terrible. I'm like, yeah, but it's Metal Gear Solid 3.
Right. Like, how bad could it be?
Yeah, how bad could that version be? It would have to be really bad.
It'd be really, really bad.
It would have to be worse than the 3DS one, which would be like really difficult to pull off.
The only thing about that project that scares me is that they've got a director, is that they're pulling a Twin Snakes and they're going to go back in and change things in the story.
Oh, God, yeah.
It's just like, please just let it be the same story. Add some more stuff onto it if you want. Make some side quests. That huge map could work for side quests and stuff.
100%.
Like some traversal back and forth, but like, please don't change the plot. Please don't take out the scene where Volgin grabs Snake's crotch when he's got the Raiden mask on, and then he recognizes that his dick isn't the same dick that he's used to fucking handling.
He's not making this up, by the way.
And he's like, who are you? That's not the dick that I know. And then he uses his lightning powers to electrocute Solid Snake or Big Boss. And then,
What I want, Jeff, are remasters of the Secret Theater videos because those things are so perfect. Because what was Sigint? I think was one of them.
Yep.
The Metal Gear Sigint.
Yep.
Where it's like, what if that dude was the?
We just keep running in front of Snake and like taking.
It's so perfect.
Yep,
like my favorite part is when the base is exploding and a soldier's helping Snake out.
Yep.
Such a perfect fucking video.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, like I'm not even going to go into like the pedigree of the leakers here.
If Konami remastered literally every Metal Gear game, I would buy every single one of them.
Yep.
Even if it was fucking Acid, and I didn't even like Acid.
You know. I didn't think about this until just now, but like, you know what the rationale for remaking 3 is that technically that could be the start of remastering everything because it's first in the timeline.
Yeah, that's actually very
and you wouldn't have
true.
to like explain it if you were remastering it 1, 2, 3, 4. If you did 3, 1, 2, 4, and then let modern gamers play that shit, it would make sense.
See, what they should do is 3, Metal Gear 1 and 2, and then Solid, and then 2.
Wait, would you do 3, 5, 1, 2, 4?
That would be the way of playing it if you want to do it chronologically.
Would you do 3 Peace Walker, 5, 1, 2, 4? I don't think you put 5 in there. I think 5 is too weird.
Well, five doesn't really need to be there,
right?
Because it's unfinished for one.
Yeah,
and also it's one of those games that's like
really muddies the waters.
It really muddies the waters of the timeline, like really hardcore.
Yeah,
like it turns out Liquid Snake was here the whole time, and you're
right.
and Psycho Mantis is a tiny redhead. You're like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah,
where did the Muppet babies come from? I'm confused.
Yeah, I say 3 Peace Walker, 1, 2, 4. Yeah,
because I actually went through all of them when 5 came out. I played Metal Gear 1 and 2 and all those, and I love those games. The only thing that was great about 5 is the revelation that I shot myself with a rocket launcher in Metal Gear 1. But I can't explain why, if that makes sense to you guys, unless you've beaten the game.
It would take too long to explain.
It would take a very long time
because we need to take a break. So we're going to take a break. But when we come back, we are going into Turbo Ultra Overdrive, as is our wont, to go through the second half of the news. So stick around, and we'll see you in just a minute. It's time to talk about sex, sort of.
Talking about the Series X? What?
Yes, the Xbox Series X. No, it's time to talk about some sex because this week we got some more details. You know what? I love the fact that the video game industry, like, you're gonna get spoilers in the form of ESRB ratings and fucking LinkedIn profiles.
It's an interesting place because of it.
So Starfield got an ESRB rating, and we knew that there wasn't going to be like straight up boning in Starfield, but let's amend that. There's not going to be scenes of boning, but according to this, there's going to be pillow talk post boning. So this lets us know that apparently this means you're going to have like a smooch, a fade to black, and then a fade back up with you and somebody laying in bed and going like, shit. Like, well, wait, what was one of the descriptions here? It was really funny. Like, they said, oh God, where is it? There's this thing with,
it's a little further down. I saw it for a second.
Is it here?
Yeah, it's that first one.
Talking about the stars. Woo, that was amazing. Or I'm all for getting a little wild, but next time let's try it without the jetpacks. I'm like, wait, what? That just seems dangerous.
Yeah, that just seems kind of insane.
So, yes, there will apparently be romance options in Starfield, but not actual sex scenes. I'm fine with that because, like, I don't need to see my pretend dolls, like, banging into each other. Every time two characters kiss in a video game, I'm like, oh, gross, because it always looks gross. Like,
it's mostly because they can't animate it very well.
Right.
It's very difficult to make 3D models that aren't designed to do that.
Yeah.
And here's the fun thing about the world we live in now is that people make porn of these things all the time.
Oh yeah.
So even if you want to see these characters fuck, you just gotta wait like a week.
Yep.
Like,
and usually the porn is way better than what's in the video games.
Yeah, apparently the Overwatch porn animation world was so advanced that it ended up making vast improvements in animation because these guys got so into it that it helped animation stuff. It's fucking crazy.
I've written a new titty flop engine for my animation.
This is all true, by the way. You just look it up. It's amazing.
Yep. So yeah, we at least know there's going to be some romance. Let's see. Speaking of Microsoft, Phil Spencer had an interview.
This was amazing.
Did you read this interview?
I watched the interview.
Oh, okay. I didn't watch it, but this guy is full of shit.
It's fucking crazy.
This is stupid here. This is stupid with 2 O's. Like the. So Phil Spencer, I think that this has to be part of Microsoft's just like, we're just a little old company, I don't know what to do parade.
It's 100% that.
Because like let me see if I can find some of these quotes. Here's one. I see it out there. I see commentary that if you just build great games, everything would turn around. It's just not true that if we go off and build great games, suddenly you're going to see console share shift in some dramatic way. We lost the worst generation to lose in the Xbox One generation, where everybody built their digital library of games. This idea, if we just focused more on great games on our console, that somehow we're going to win the console race, I think doesn't relate to the reality of most people. That's a fucking lie.
It's 100% not true.
Like, that is just not true.
The consoles sell because of games very easily, actually.
I mean, like,
we just talked about Zelda.
Right. This is a really, I tell you what though, Michael, this is a really convenient opinion to have if you're running the AAA console that doesn't have any fucking first party exclusives on it.
Oh, 100%.
You know, like Phil Spencer's contention in this interview is that last generation was really where all the console people built up a huge library of games, and now they're just so far behind. They can't just go toe to toe on good software and catch up. Yes, you can. Like
100%.
You have some of the biggest franchises in all of history, and you've done nothing but run them into the goddamn ground.
You know why the 360 worked out so well? They had a lot of really good first-party titles.
Also, the idea that it was like the PS4, Xbox One generation was the linchpin, and I'm like, no, it fucking wasn't. Like,
it wasn't at the same time.
Like,
his explanation is my issue with it.
Yeah.
His explanation is like, everybody bought all digital games. It's like, no, you remember the reason you lost? It's because you said used games weren't going to be a thing.
Yeah.
And everyone lost their shit.
It's because you focused the console on fucking DVR technology when it came out, and you went all in on the Kinect.
The presentation was like, you want to attach your cable box to your Xbox.
There was that Halo TV show that was supposed to come out that they were banking on.
And
like,
that version never even came up.
Yeah, so
actually, no, I think it did, but nobody watched it. And then all the stuff with. Like I get why some people would call it an important one to win.
Yeah.
Because everything carried over from there, and we're at the point where things are a little more expensive.
Yes.
So I can see that being part of the explanation.
Yeah.
My issue with his explanation, though, is the idea that people want to go back to the Xbox if they didn't have good games.
Yes.
Which is not true at all. I have an Xbox Series X. I totally would play it more if I had something to play on it. Like, the only thing I have on it that I feel like is worth doing right now is Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, that came out of nowhere. And like, I don't give a shit about Redfall.
Yeah, this is the one. This is the one that I was just like, oh, I was sitting here by myself and went, oh, go fuck yourself.
Oh yeah, this last one he's fucking said.
That's just not the world we live in today. There's no world where Starfield is an 11 out of 10 and people are selling their PS5s. That's not going to happen. That is not fucking true.
It's not true.
Like, it's just not, because
I've seen people would sell their PS5s for less.
Well, here's the fucking problem with that statement, Michael, is that if that was true, then you would be putting Starfield out on the PS5s where you could make all that revenue.
Yeah.
Right?
This is the issue I have with it.
Your goddamn business plan says you lie. You lie, my friend. You lie. Like, this just has to be one of these, like, oh no, I don't. Oh geez, guys.
You want to know what it reminds me of? I've been watching a lot of South Park.
Yeah.
This is the episode where Carlos Mencia steals that joke
Right.
and when Connie is trying to murder him, he just loses his shit and be like, "I'm a piece of shit, man. I stole the joke. I'm not funny. I'm a small chick, dude. Don't kill me." Like, it's like hearing Phil Spencer doing that, except that he's doing it to try to get somebody to let him buy Activision.
Right. Like the idea that you own Bethesda and like Tango Gameworks and Obsidian and Double Fine, and you're saying we can't compete 1-to-1 on console exclusives? If you can't, then you should give those companies back, because
you shouldn't have bought all these companies if you're not going to let them make good games.
Like, what are you going to do? Are you going to make them write Windows apps? What the fuck are they going to do if not make games to get people to buy Xboxes?
They don't even do Kinect anymore, so it's not like they can make bad Kinect games.
Right. The other thing is that, like, if this was honestly your plan, like, you didn't even try. You just started putting every Xbox game is also on the PC.
Yeah.
And like day and date. Well, then why would anybody need to buy an Xbox console if they could just buy a fucking PC with a 3060 in it and play Redfall at 60 frames per second instead of 30 frames per second, my man? Like,
as a fan of Xbox in a lot of ways, because that's the thing. I'm not like a one console guy.
Yeah.
I never was.
Yeah.
That's why I have all three of them. I literally bought an Xbox Series X for Halo Infinite. Like, that's literally what I did it for, Phil Spencer. And that game's not even that great now. So, like, you know, like, it doesn't take a lot for some of us to spend that much money. And you decided to tell your fans to their face that he doesn't care if you have good games.
well,
Like, that is so stupid. It's like the Don Match. It's one of the most Don Matricky things Phil Spencer has ever said to his fan base.
the thing is that it would be incredibly insulting if it was true, but
Yeah.
it's such a fucking outright lie that it's like, I don't have to bother with this because you're obviously fucking lying to try to get the UK CMA board to approve your purchase of Activision Blizzard. Like,
It feels like that war tactic where they're like, we surrender, and then the second the Trojan horse comes into the house, you know, they're going to start slaughtering everybody.
So, yeah,
But the problem is we don't know where the Trojan horse is. And he keeps saying this, and we're like, are you sure?
Yeah, this is fucking dumb. Come on, Phil Spencer. We deserve better than this.
We're smarter than this, Phil Spencer.
We understand what
I
you're
thought you were
saying
smarter
here.
than this, Phil Spencer.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
If the console wars are over, it's because they fucking gave the fuck up. That's what happened here.
Right. What's this other quote? This is the first generation where the big games they're playing are games that were available last gen. When you think about it, Fortnite, Roblox, and Minecraft. You own Minecraft.
Did you say Roblox? Really?
Yeah. yes. But like Microsoft owns Minecraft. Like,
God
you
damn
can't roll Minecraft out like, geez, guys, we can't even compete. You own Minecraft. You get a chunk of every sale of Minecraft on the Switch and the PS5 and the PC. Like, I know it. I had to create a Microsoft account when you.
This is the reason this is the reason I play Sony so much. Is Sony goes out of their way to get people to buy their stuff.
Yeah. Yes.
And they're very smart about it.
Yes. Anyway, sorry.
They know what people want. They want good games. Turns out Phil Spencer just doesn't want anything.
Anyway, in related news, Activision. Let's go to some Activision Blizzard news. I think Call of Duty is having some problems, and I don't really know about them because I don't fucking care about Call of Duty. But apparently, Call of Duty is selling a DLC called the Throwback Pack, and part of the Season 3 is like one of the things they're selling. This is the weirdest fucking thing I've ever heard of. One of the things they're selling is classic gun noises. So, like, if you buy this DLC pack, you can get, like, the MP5 noise from Modern Warfare 2, the original Modern Warfare 2, like, in Season 3 of whatever the fuck this shit is. And, like, that's a weird thing to be nostalgic about. Now, I know people are. Like, I'm not saying it's...
No. Yeah, I was about to say, but the thing that is confusing to me is that it's Call of Duty doing it.
Right.
Because if Halo did this, I could understand why.
Yeah.
Because I am very nostalgic for the original assault rifle sound. Mm-hmm. Same as people are with assault rifles from like Alien kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because these are fantasy guns that don't exist.
Right.
So them making different noises were fine. These are actual guns,
yeah,
and you don't really need to care what the MP5 sounded like back in the day.
Well, apparently, like the two guns, they have one for the MP5 and one for like an assault rifle, and they're like what they sound like are like two of the guns that were like the biggest meta in Modern Warfare 2, and so everybody was fucking using them. And I'm like, what a dirty fucking trick, because you're just pushing the nostalgia button in people's brains that make them they have good feelings associated with that noise, and now you're putting it into this new game that, as I understand, people have fewer good feelings about. So
yeah, that's what's so weird about it is that it's Call of Duty doing it. Like, yeah, if Halo did it, I wouldn't have batted an eyelash.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of guns in that game that I wouldn't mind sounding like the old ones because I think they're fun. But I wouldn't know the difference between these guns because they were trying to sound realistic to begin with.
Yep.
Like, do they sound like shitty audio? Like, what makes them different?
I mean, they have like a very specific, like.
Is this the Forza thing where they like took a microphone and recorded it next to a gun or something?
I don't think so. I think what it is it's just like so you're audio designer for Call of Duty, right? You have to make sure that all the guns sound different because you need people to be able to listen and hear like, oh, I know what kind of gun that is as part of the strategy. And I think that when you had a gun that was like the MP5 that was like a huge part of the meta, and so everyone was using it, everybody remembers that noise. It's like baked into their brain. And I think it's just what I said, that what they're counting on, right, is if they bring back the same gun noise from the old one, that you're then going to have the pleasure centers in your brain are going to light up with the memory of when I used to shoot that gun and have a good time playing this game, as opposed to now where I'm playing it just because of momentum, and I really should just stop this and go get on the bus with my Switch and play Tears of the Kingdom.
I was about to say, the Australian guy's going to come home and buy this pack.
Right.
And remember the good old days of drinking Mountain Dew Code Red with his then girlfriend, not his wife at that point.
Yeah.
And then things happen.
Dude, Code Red is for fucking normies, man. You got to get that Midnight Black or whatever it's called.
But you got the codes on the Mountain Dew Red ones.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
In some other shooter news, Overwatch.
This thing's fucking weird.
Overwatch 2 is having an event right now. It's like an actual PvE event, and it's all like, it's called Star Watch, and it's all kind of like fantasy sci-fi skins, and like there's a story where like Doomfist and his plucky group of rebels are trying to rescue Echo from who's that guy with no shoes on that everybody hates?
I forgot. But he looks like Bison.
Yeah,
in this costume outfit.
Yeah, but like his right hand enforcer is Brigitte, who's like definitely not a bad guy in the Overwatch universe.
Yeah,
like,
it's very strange with who they've chosen, and according to Twitter, it's very one-sided.
Yeah,
like apparently, like the heroes on the I guess they call them the Empire side,
right,
are apparently way better.
Oh, okay.
Because a lot of people were having issues apparently winning on the other side. Like like one guy's like, I did 7 of these matches, and every time, no matter what side I was on, the Empire side won every single fucking time.
The thing that I wanted to do the reason I wanted to bring this up is just because, like, is this it? Is this the PvE that we were supposed to get? I'm still waiting Overwatch 2.
Yeah.
You said you were going to have PvE that I could play by myself. Like, that ain't it.
No, that's not it. And it's Overwatch 2 continues to just be a thing that exists.
Yep.
It's the best way I can put it.
Man, it's always just a weird thing to me when I have to be like, Blizzard, don't they suck? And I'm like, oh, right. I guess they do now, kind of.
That's weird. We're in a weird timeline.
Yeah. Also, another Overwatch news. This is just a brief blur, but Lifeweaver is getting yet another like redo because apparently people aren't choosing him and not playing him as much, and they did a recent controls update where they remapped all the controls for Lifeweaver, but they want
question.
Yes.
Who the hell is Lifeweaver?
Lifeweaver is the new support character that they put out into Overwatch. I guess you weren't on when we talked about that like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
He's a real, like, he's canonically bi and like a Lothario, and his chest is all out, and he's got all these, like, pink things. He's, like, part of the Symmetra kind of thing.
He looks fine, I guess.
But, yeah, he's weird.
Oh, yeah, apparently too weird because nobody wants to fucking use him.
Well, one of the big things when they originally put him out was that he had the ability to grab other players and pull them to him for healing.
Oh, that's right. We talked about that part of it.
Yeah, and so he would do that, but then get out of the way and just yeet people off the stage, like team kill.
Which is fucking crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe then people will want to play him. I don't know. Who knows? Let's see another Blizzard news. Blizzard talked a little while back about a patent for basically using AI to generate artwork for some of their games. And this has, of course, not been received very well.
No, because you're going to train the AI to sexually harass people.
Right. So they came out and kind of talked a little bit more about how, like, it's less about like taking the place of an artist and more about taking grunt work, like they're showing in this training image, like instead of like drawing bricks on a wall one at a time, you can kind of just rough out the pattern that you want and then be like, go fill in the details, which I think that's like not a bad use for AI, to be honest.
Well,
like,
that's the thing you should be using it for, which is drawing your own stuff and then using the AI to enhance what you've drawn.
Sure.
Like that's different than, like, you know, just using that by itself. Like, it's different than just typing in give me a castle kind of thing.
Right.
Like that's because we've talked about this off mic a lot, where AI is a very useful tool if used correctly.
Yeah.
The problem is nobody's using it correctly for the most part.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's like a lot of companies are looking at it
ethically correctly.
They're salivating over it as a way to be like, no, finally we'll no longer have to pay like 80 artists. We'll just pay one guy to type prompts into an AI, and it's like, well, that's not exactly how it's going to work. But you know, as a person who has had to draw backgrounds in the past, I would much rather draw a rough. Like, I'd rather rough out a tree and then be like, okay, AI, now make that into a fucking tree. Especially for like smaller teams. I don't know how I feel about Blizzard using it, because like they're big enough to be able to pay people, but
oh no, yeah, that's the main issue with that's the reason I get why people are mad about this.
Yeah.
If this was like, say, like a 5-person team using this, people would be perfectly fine with it.
Yes. Let's see. From there, speaking of AI, this is barely game related, but I thought I would put it in here because it's an interesting side note. Apparently the UK CMA is looking into, their next target is looking into the AI industry in general and how it's being used kind of in the British technology market. Looking to evaluate 5 overarching principles: safety, security, and robustness; appropriate transparency and explainability; fairness, accountability and governance; contestability and redress. I thought it was interesting though, because if they stick to their the thumbs down on the Activision Blizzard sale, and then do something like say, yeah, you can't use AI generated anything in the UK. It's like, you guys do want, like, your goal was to be like a European technology sector, right? Like, you can't do that if you keep, like, eventually a lot of these, I'm not making a value judgment about AI, but it is kind of bleeding edge tech, right? And if you make at this point like a blanket ban, companies are going to go to like France, right, where they can fucking do whatever they want.
You're going to be seen as a place that you shouldn't really go to, because you're just going to keep being told no,
right,
no matter what it is,
and
because this is one after the other.
Yeah,
it's not like there was like 5 things in between this.
Yeah, between
the Microsoft thing and this, but you know, the UK is very weird about this sort of thing, but they're very protective of their consumers, even if it doesn't entirely make sense. But they do what they can, which is kind of nice.
It's interesting because as much as I don't want to agree with Bobby Kotick, like, businesses seek markets where they're not going to be beholden to huge restrictions, and if that's what the UK has decided that they want to do, they're probably going to have a hard time becoming a burgeoning technology sector, because they'll just end up attracting safer companies, which doesn't tend to be where you get like the maximal profits.
Well, that's the thing about tech companies. Or tech company people are batshit insane. Yeah, because they'd like to.
What if your glasses had a computer in them?
Yeah, every startup starts off with a guy who was probably high as shit,
right? And
it was like, what if you could play Sonic on your car screen? And then somebody made Tesla, and then went from there. Yeah, that's a lot of strange shit has happened that way, and for better or worse, you know, we've gotten some really good stuff out of it.
True.
We've got a lot of bad stuff out of it, and we got stuff in between, like MoviePass, out of it.
Very true.
So it's just what it is. If you want them to come, you basically say do whatever you want.
Yeah,
and then hope for the best for them. and you end up getting the rewards from it, because if they fail, you don't lose anything out of it.
Right.
So yeah, just let them go nuts. As long as they're not murdering each other, you're really fine.
Well, speaking of murder, I really wish that I could throttle that fucking hedgehog that goes by the name of Sonic. We got the news last week that Sonic Frontiers is the best-selling 3D Sonic game of all time.
I'm not surprised by this, to be honest.
I am surprised. That game is horrible. How did it sell that many?
Here's the reason, Jeff. Because
what?
all the other ones are way worse.
Oh my god. Demand better, Sonic fans. I don't know who hurt you, Sonic fans. Like
Sonic did.
Sonic, yes, Sonic. It was Sonic.
And it's an abusive relationship, Jeff.
So yes,
they just know if they keep buying it, he won't hurt them, but he keeps hurting them.
Apparently, Sonic Frontiers sold around 3.5 million copies, which makes it
That's
the
a
best
lot.
selling 3D Sonic. And this is what did it? It bypassed or went ahead of Sonic Frontiers.
No, Sonic Frontiers is the game we're talking about.
Sonic Heroes.
Okay, which is also not a very good game.
Right.
Well, to me, it's not a very good game. To Sonic fans, I'm sure they love it.
Don't coddle them. You tell them. You tell them what you think of their stupid asshole game.
It's not great.
It's bad.
If you watch any Game Grumps video, that's the one that you will
Good Lord,
honestly see
guys,
is terrible.
go buy Breath of the Wild. Go pirate Breath of the Wild.
Hack Sonic into Breath of the Wild.
Put Sonic
if you really
in Breath
want Sonic.
Yes, there you go. Like, come on, you deserve better. You're human beings, god damn it.
Yeah, I've been watching the Game Grumps play Sonic Frontiers because I was like, you know what, maybe I can finally see what people like about this. And the only thing I can understand that people like about it are the boss fights. Because the boss fights try to do like revengeance type like levels of fighting things.
Okay.
But the problem is they all look not fun to play. But they have butt rock in the background and like the same way. And they're good fun butt rock sounds, but
you just play whatever game you want and put butt rock on in the background.
And it would work just as well.
Yeah.
But it's kind of depressing.
Yep. So chances are there's going to be a sequel. There's going to be a lot of DLC, and this is going to be the face of Sonic. And I'm going to be forced to play another Sonic game that is not very good.
Honestly, all they have to do is just take what they've made and keep adding stuff to it until it looks like an actual game.
Sure.
And that's honestly would be because I feel like that's what Breath of the Wild or not Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom did with Breath of the Wild.
Yep.
They just built upon what they already had.
Yep.
And you can easily do that with this game.
Except that, Breath of the Wild was like the best game that came out the year it came out.
Well, or apples and pieces of shit on the ground.
Sonic Frontiers is garbage that should be thrown into the trash bin of history. And normally I'm like, hey, let people enjoy things, but not this time. No, demand better. You demand better. You demand more.
Better. Yeah, demand better from your games.
Yes,
is something everyone should think about.
You know what happens when you demand better from your game franchises, Michael? Not what's happened with Dragon Ball, but speaking of Dragon Ball, this week there was the news that Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 and Dragon Ball Fighters both have hit the 10 million unit mark. So
I'm happy about Fighters doing that.
Yeah.
It's funny that Xenoverse 2 barely made it to that point because that sucker has been out for a long ass time.
Yeah. So there's for Fighters, they celebrated there's some kind of thing where you can go through DLC characters.
Yeah, they released or not released, but they're letting people use some of the DLC characters for free for a while.
And then
which is weird. If you've already bought the game, you probably already have them.
For Xenoverse 2, they put in some kind of dumb quest, and then you get like a balloon on the back of you that says 10 million. It's very strange.
That's very strange. Xenoverse 2 is basically an MMO.
Yeah.
It's the closest thing to a live service thing Dragon Ball has going on right now because they've been updating it for so long that it's a running gag that they'll never make another Xenoverse, and that 30 years from now they're going to make another Dragon Ball game, and there will be another DLC pack for Xenoverse 2.
Well, I guess what they did give you guys Kakarot though. You guys did get Kakarot.
We did get Kakarot.
So
that's the thing, and they're making Budokai Tenkaichi 4.
Right.
So but before that, all we had was Xenoverse for a long ass time.
Sure.
Which which somewhat makes sense because all they did was kept adding to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and they just added a DLC I think today for it.
Oh yeah. I think there was something, but I didn't pull it up. I was like, one Dragon Ball story per RageSelect podcast is enough.
It was the last superhero DLC chunk to it.
So
that came out today.
Okay.
And I'm probably gonna play that when I get home.
Why
To be
is
honest,
30 FPS trending in gaming? Oh, it's about Tears of the Kingdom. Okay, fine, whatever. Speaking of millions, Bungie has gotten another settlement against another cheat seller. This time for $6.7 million.
Okay.
I get the feeling after reading through this, because this one was for a site from India called Lavi Cheats, and then like they took him to court in Washington, and they didn't show up, and so they summarily ruled against them.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I have some questions about, like, are you getting all these summary judgments against people in like the EU and India and overseas? Like, are you actually going to get any money from any of them?
Yeah, how does that work? Like, they have to enter your area to make that work, I assume.
Or Batman could go. Right?
Yeah,
Sometimes
that's how
he'll grab somebody.
He'll show up in the plane.
Yeah,
take them out.
Yeah, take the Russian ballerinas out. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to think that this stuff keeps happening, because like there was another one last week for like 12.6 million or something like that.
Yeah, they're going after pretty much everyone, and but these are ones that make sense. Like,
oh yeah,
it's not like they're going after like a Joe Schmo. Like, these guys are making bank off of these cheats.
Dude, Bryce and I last week went to the website of the one in the EU that's doing this, and they're like selling like daily cheat packs, like packs that expire in 24 hours.
That's fucking insane.
Like, so you have to subscribe to like their cheat engine service, and they're doing it for like all kinds of games where it's like, I think, yes, they should be sued.
Yeah, that's the thing, is cheat makers confuse me for multiplayer games.
Yeah.
Like, I understand if you have a single player system, but you guys should not be cheating at multiplayer things.
Yes. Let's see. Speaking of online shooters, Fortnite is going to become an Olympic sport.
Interesting, but how so? like, is it like how many skins can you buy at once?
It's just loot box opening. Like, how fast can you open the V-Bucks chest?
Exactly.
No. Okay. So this is very weird. Singapore is having. Okay. This is an official IOC sponsored event, right? So it's the actual Olympic Council event, and they're doing an esports like kind of sidebar. Like, you've got the Summer Olympics and the Winter Olympics, and then like the esports Olympics. The thing is that it's really weird, because it's not like you're not playing Fortnite. It's target shooting in a custom map in Fortnite.
Oh,
so
that's interesting.
But what's very weird is that, like, it's so strange, because the other games that are in this are like Gran Turismo 7. I'm like, okay. Just Dance.
Sure.
Very strange. And then like other stuff, like there's a virtual Taekwondo game that is apparently like more of a tool that martial artists use.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, this is happening June 23rd to the 25th in Singapore, and tickets are very cheap. So I don't know who wants to be the RageSelect Olympic correspondent that goes to the esports games in Singapore.
Here's the only way I'm be cool with it, is if everybody can use their custom skins, so we can see Pickle Rick shooting for the gold.
And in first place, Pickle Rick.
Exactly.
Sorry, Goku. Better luck next year.
And then fucking Thanos is crying in the corner.
Meanwhile, everyone is flossing.
Exactly.
Just everyone is flossing at the Olympics.
They're flossing and riding their fucking at 209 emotes.
Yep.
It'll be great.
It'll be great. Let's see. In other news, Valve has overhauled some of the rules for the Steam community guidelines. This is kind of like, I looked into this, and it's not exactly like the biggest story in the world, because like Valve's community guidelines used to be don't be a dick, and like they've now expanded that to be like making hurtful statements based on other people's intrinsic characteristics, or like attacking people for blah 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 blah. Like, they've gone into more specifics, as opposed to, apparently it took up until 2023 for them to update this stuff more than just like, just be cool, man. Just be cool, and we'll all be good.
That used to make sense, because it used to encompass a lot of things.
Right.
The problem is that now, when you start banning people want to know what you're being banned for.
Yeah.
And you can sue very easily for that sort of thing nowadays.
People have stopped being cool.
Yeah, that's the other thing. People are just assholes.
Yeah.
I was reading a webcomic that made a great example of that, where they're like, back in the day, you used to be like, that guy's an asshole because he's anonymous, and everybody's like that. Now it's like, this is my real name, and fuck you, and this is where I work, and still fuck you. And they're like, oh, well, I guess that wasn't what the case was at all.
Yep. Used to think that real hard. But yeah, that's good. More interesting than that, though, is this was something that I had to cut last week. Valve has changed the way that Steam. Okay, so when you go to a Steam page, and usually the first thing on the little like carousel is a trailer for the game.
Yeah,
and sometimes the second thing is a trailer for the game. And sometimes every promotional video that's been released on Steam is there. So like the first 8 slots are videos.
Yeah.
Steam is now limiting that to 2.
Oh.
Doesn't matter. You can only have 2. The rest of them, you can have more than 2, but they're going to go at the end. You can only have 2 at the beginning, and then it's going to be screenshots, and then the rest of them are going to be further down the line.
That's not a bad thing.
Yep, it's good. It's good quality of life. Like Steam's actually been doing a lot of interesting quality of life because they had that UI update that happened last week where they had like the Notes app and they redid the whole in-game overlay function. So
it's nice though because they, Steam has been coasting for a very long time.
Yep.
So they're finally really getting off of their ass.
I really just hope there's one thing that I want them to redo, and it's like they keep doing everything but that, and it's the fucking store page. Like I don't care about they're like the library, the overlay, the terms of service, and I'm like right. But the store page still sucks. Can you please fix the store page?
You don't like hentai games, Jeff? You love them.
Oh, no. I just don't want to have to scroll down for 2 pages to find the hentai games. I want them to be at the top. I don't want like an advertisement for the New World or whatever. Like anybody's playing that anymore. But
that's fair. The New World XXX is what you want.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's already...
That's a Vin Diesel game, by the way. That's the crazy part.
What is that? If I go to Steam right now and I go to store, I did this last week too.
Like immediately.
Let's see. How many games do I have to go through? There's a horse. Is that a horse farming game?
I think so.
Ragdoll Drift. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. Is this? That's got an anime lady on it. Sexual content, nudity, strategy, RPG. Yep, that was four ticks down, and there's an anime girl, and you're playing Minecraft, and there's a bunch of I don't know. I can't tell. But yeah,
it's hard to tell with some of these games.
A lot of porn.
So much, guys. So much.
Wait, this is upcoming releases. Oh, that's not what's out right now. Wait, hold on. Here's the actual front page of Steam. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sex Tentacles 18 plus. Yep.
Damn, that was fast.
Front page. There it is.
Whoa, and that trailer is very specific.
Yep. Full pornography. They're showing everything. I've seen everything. I saw everything.
Saw everything you need to do.
Yep. So, let's see. In bad news, PlayStation shut down Pixel Opus. I think that some people might not know what that is. That's the company, the studio that made Concrete Genie.
Which I never played. I forgot it even existed.
Yeah, it was weird because they talked about that, and then they talked about how they made a game called Entwined, which I had forgotten about.
That sounds familiar.
And then I looked it up, and it was a PlayStation 3 game, and it was like there was like a blue fox or like a blue bird and like a red fox or like an orange fox.
Oh, I remember that.
And you played
game.
like the 2 of them. Yeah. Like now that you see it, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the second I see it, I'm like, I know exactly what this is.
Yeah, or like a fish, I guess, not a fox. Anyway,
yeah, it was all like red and blue or orange and blue.
The sad part about this is that apparently in this particular day and age, this is 20 people. Like it was a very small studio. But Concrete Genie, I just didn't really make it. Didn't really.
No, which happens. That's the thing. A lot of studios they come and then they make something and either that gets them into the spotlight right away, or it fails immediately. And if you're lucky, you can keep trying. But a lot of studios don't really get past that.
Yep.
That second failure. Not failure, but you know what I mean. Like just not critically acclaimed and loved by everybody.
Yep.
Like Game Freak got lucky with Pokemon.
Very true. Very, very true. Let's see from there. We got the story of a. It's funny. I saw this headline of like this Unity manager got fired right away, and like I thought that the way that because they were. Unity manager publicly states company is, quote, out of touch, is fired within 3 hours. That's this PC Gamer article.
I saw this too, actually.
Oh, man. What stupid thing did some asshole who works at a company say that got them fired? But I was wrong because it's the reverse of that.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of interesting what happened this time.
Yeah. This was a lady named Miranda Dew that was a senior partner at Unity. And apparently the board of directors had floated that like they're making people return to work, and there's a lot of like, well, you're using this as a way to lay people off by just making remote people like not be able to come into work, and then they're going to get fired for it. And apparently one of the executives said that they should just rent an apartment in downtown, was it San Diego? San Francisco.
Which is fucking
downtown
ridiculous.
San Francisco, so they could just be closer to work. They just do that. And they were like, oh no, that's completely fucking ridiculous and totally off base. Like, you would be spending 3/4 of your income on this apartment.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky. And then
It's one apartment, Jeff.
how much could it cost?
Exactly.
And then but the thing is that they like said that shit out loud on Twitter, and then like, you know,
I saw that tweet. I saw that when it came out.
then they got fired. It's like, well, I mean, you know, yeah,
There was no way they weren't going to fire them.
yeah. They also said, but part of this was the weirdest thing was that they talked about how they were like, on their 1-year anniversary, less than a month before they got vested. They got like stock in Unity and stuff. And it's like, dude, I don't know, man. I think that I'd probably lay off of Twitter for that month and like get vested and then just be like, it's like getting tenure and then you're just like, suck it. You all suck so hard.
Yeah, all they had to do is wait.
Yeah.
Like, people do that all the time where they were like, hey, I'm finally at a point where I feel like I can talk shit about this now. And that's what you should do.
Yep.
Because that's what heroes do.
Yep. Exactly. All right. Oh, I should have taken this time to get my trailers ready because we've got a lot. So in the meantime, I'm going to open these links. Oh, so many links that are now being opened. This is everyone's favorite part of the podcast. Also, I'm opening doubles here because I can't see all the ones that I'm clicking on. And there we go. All right. First up on the trailers, we got a very, 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 very short Payday 3 teaser. It's literally like a few seconds long, and it promises that we're going to see more gameplay this summer.
Yeah, it's a guy walking in the shadows for about 3 seconds.
In slow motion.
Yeah, in slow motion. And then it just says gameplay.
Yep.
And this is this summer.
And it talks, like there's a voiceover where they're talking about like doing the job or whatever. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay.
And Payday 2 was a very successful game.
Yep.
So this has a lot to live up to.
Agreed.
It can't be, what was the name of the game we played with Chuck Norris?
Oh God. Fuck. Oh God.
Something City.
Rocket City.
yeah.
Crime Boss Rocket City.
Yeah.
There we go.
It's got to live up to that.
You got to at least be as good as Crime Boss Rocket. I'm wondering if anybody is playing that game at this point.
I saw a good chunk of people on Twitch be excited because it's so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
That's as far as anybody's gotten so far with it.
I wonder if they fixed the clothes come off of that lady bug.
Oh, I wonder if they've done that too. But you can't fix Chuck Norris's voice.
That's true.
There's no way to patch that up.
I don't know. They got AI, right? They
That's
just
true.
Run
But
it through an AI.
it might sound slightly better.
Let's see. From there, speaking of big open world crime games, we got a launch trailer for Saints Row: The Heist and the Hazardous, which I'm really excited for. Like, I really, really enjoyed Saints Row. This looks fun. It's a new area. It's got a few new quests and some new outfits and like activities that you can do. Apparently, they're also doing a big update to change like the combat system to make it like feel better for players. I don't know. And it looks like from this trailer that it's like a movie star heist thing. Like the asshole movie star steals something from the boss and then the Saints have to go. There's a new weapon called the Pain and Gain that's like a dumbbell on like a big spring that like shoots out like a boxing glove. And yeah, this looks delightfully stupid and just what I would want out of more Saints Row.
Which is, like Saints Row is a strange one because there are two sets of fans for Saints Row.
Yeah.
One is the people who loved the first two when they took themselves a little more seriously. And then there's the people who love 3 and 4 more because that's when they didn't take themselves seriously.
Yep.
And Saints Row, the reboot, was a strange one because both sides were very confused. They weren't sure what to think of it. And unfortunately, it didn't do very well at all when it came out. But that's, there's a lot of reasons for that.
Sure.
Mostly the buggy reasons, but...
Yeah, I mean, it was... what was the thing? I guess... I was loading it on the PS5, so I was playing it on the PS5 with that super fast hard drive. Every time it crashed, I could just get back in within 15 seconds. And I was like, well, this isn't optimal, but it's not exactly horrible either, so...
Yeah, that's I think the only reason you were cool with it.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I don't know. Interested. Probably going to end up playing it for the dojo. We got a trailer with Bella Ramsey for Gran Turismo 7. This is kind of...
Is this the games trailer?
Yeah.
For the... Okay.
It has her because she's young and she's like, I'm learning how to drive and I'm going to do it with Gran Turismo 7 with PSVR 2. And it's got her screaming and racing and doing stuff. And then it cuts to her at her driving exam and the guy's like, I have to fail you. But where did you learn to drive like that? Then they cut to them sitting on the couch. So it's a little fun little trailer. It reminds me of back in the day when PlayStation used to make these kind of trailers, right?
They used to do a lot of trailers like this to get a celebrity to do something funny.
Yep.
And so, yeah, those are always the fun ones. But I feel like we got less of them because of the pandemic. It was harder to convince celebrities to do stuff like this.
Yeah, true. I don't know. I like these sorts of trailers. So yeah. Are you gonna buy a PSVR 2?
I might, but I'm waiting for that Ghostbusters game to see how that plays out.
Oh, there you go. We got a full gameplay trailer for Harmony: The Fall of Reverie, which is the next...
Spencer? You just need a game. That's all you fucking need. I'll buy your dumb shit.
Or a virtual reality headset. I play Halo VR.
I would totally play Halo VR.
This is the latest game from that Don't Nod that they announced.
That's right.
I watched this entire trailer and I have a really hard time understanding what this game is. It appears to be like a visual novel where your choices, there's two realities. There's the real world and there's the internal world where you've got all these different kind of psychological concepts vying for supremacy.
Yeah, it was like that gods thing or whatever.
Yeah.
I remember them talking in depth about it for a bit, but I was always confused the entire time.
I watched this and I'm still somewhat confused because I'm not sure if anything that I'm seeing is gameplay or not. I think that it's mostly
some of it is this
a
visual
novel basically, where you make choices. I haven't seen anything that indicates that there's anything outside of that it's just a very pretty visual novel with animation and voiceover and stuff.
Yeah, because these guys were the original Life is Strange people, right? If I remember correctly. So
yes,
so that makes sense if that's the idea, but it's a lot of choice stuff.
Yeah.
So whether or not you like that, that's up to you.
I bet there is a certain sector of the internet that is going to absolutely love the hell out of this game.
Well, that's the thing is there's a lot of gamers out there who are not into murder, kill everything. There are a lot of people who really like farming and really like just little choice-like games. And I appreciate you guys because that means there's a lot of variety out there.
True. Very true. We got the launch trailer for Firmament. This is the latest game from Cyan. The makers of Myst.
That's interesting.
Abduction. Or wait, was that it?
Sounds right.
Anyway, it's a very misty trailer. The one thing that I do find kind of interesting about it is that there are segments where they show kind of using tools in the first person to solve puzzles as opposed to just kind of walking up and locking into a thing.
There's a gravity gun type thing.
Yeah, but that's not the only thing because later on in the trailer they show some other kind of tools, walking around this big suit. I guess there's this kind of beam thing, this beam grapple, but big Myst vibes, big kind of weird steampunky, crazy Myst vibes.
Yeah, very much so, and that's again not a bad thing.
Yep. And this one is already out on the PC, or it's coming out. It's coming to March 18th on the Mac and PC, and then PS4, PS5, PSVR at a later date.
This said May 18th, by the way.
May 18th. What did I say?
You said March.
May 18th. Sorry. Yeah.
Because you're thinking about March 7th. That fucking character.
from Hawkeye Star.
I'm not getting over it, guys. Fuck that fucking name.
I think I did the thumbnail for that game, and I put her front and center in it, and I couldn't remember her fucking name, but you do.
Because it's fucking like, again, it's like the Bugs Bunny thing with Hansel. I'm like, March 7th?
You need to go back. You need to get into Honkai. We got a release date for Dordogne. If you remember, this is the one that's all like watercolors.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of like a little adventure where you're trying to remember your past in like a little French rural village. I think this is the first time I've seen this since the initial trailer. It looks a little better. It's still pretty easy to tell the difference between like the background and the foreground, obviously.
100%. But it's got a nice art style to it.
But it is pretty nice. And it looks like there's some fun stuff to do. It reminds me of that weird Japanese genre of games where it's like the summer adventure style games.
That dragon just needed an arm, and it would have been a great Trogdor picture.
Which one?
There's go back again. There's like a cave sequence that shows like a dragon getting drawn. And then like, but it looked, there it is.
Oh, okay.
Like the way it was getting drawn was the exact like shape of Trogdor, and my brain immediately added the arm. And I know that the arm's not there, but it immediately added it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, this is looking pretty good. And it's coming out June 13th for all kinds of stuff. So, check it out. Let's see. Vampire Survivors got a Secrets of Gloomrot got a whole gameplay trailer showing off some of the bigger castles that you can make with multiple layers, showing off some of the steampunk Frankenstein people that are in the new Gloomrot area. The thing I thought was really interesting when I was reading a story about this is that when this comes out, which is going to be happening pretty soon, in order to play this, you're going to have to reset your character to 0.
That's interesting.
You can actually choose not to enter, so it's not going to be forcing you in, but you do have to start over. Probably something to do with the progression lock has to be reset. I don't know.
Fucking weird.
Vampire Survivors is one of those games where it's so fun. I don't know. I'd probably play it again from the beginning.
Yeah, it did really well when people really, really like it. So there's probably a guy who's very excited to restart his character.
I rented a server. I ran the RageSelect V Rising server for a little while there, helping people out. But as with all things, I couldn't stick with just one game. I don't want to just play one game. But this expansion looks really cool, and I probably going to end up playing it. Probably going to end up reinstalling. I don't know though. This comes out like next week. And it's free, but it's too bad that you are in the Zelda zone, my friend.
Yeah, there's a lot. The problem with this weekend is that no one should have released anything. Between now and the end of the May.
Yes. We got a Warhammer 40K bolt gun gameplay trailer. I had to watch this because I think I was made aware of this trailer from I think it was a headline somewhere that said like the voiceover in this trailer is so bad it makes me not want to play the game.
Oh jeez.
I didn't find it to be that bad. It was cheesy as all hell, but like
I wish I would have saw this before with the voice to see what it was.
I'm still really looking forward to this game.
Was it Rahul's doing the voice, like the main character doing it, or no?
I don't know. It was just kind of a cheesy voiceover. I don't know.
I'd have to listen to it. But no, I'm very excited for this game.
Yeah.
It looks great. And it's on sale if you have PlayStation Plus, I think, at the moment. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where it's like pre-release.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like slightly cheaper. So.
Isn't this on Game Pass?
I don't know. I'm not sure on that one. But it looks great. Everything that they've talked about it looks like they've put a lot of work into it. Because as much as everybody looks like they would like a Doom thing, everybody's still a 3D model.
Yeah.
They're just very like stylistically different.
Oh, I didn't actually realize that. That's interesting.
Yeah, it was part of a PlayStation blog when they announced the Rahul as the main character. It's just PC Game Pass.
Watching on PC Game Pass.
Yeah, well, that's neat.
Series X. Okay, yep.
I will buy it either way because I want to support that idea.
Atari announced a new platformer called Mr. Run and Jump.
That is a fantastic name.
It's really strange. So the team that is making this, they made this game for the Atari 2600 like 2 years ago. Like as a hack.
Okay, it's one of those like
that would run on a 2600, and it's like a speed run platformer. It's like a Celeste or a Meat Boy, except that it's got like in their full version that they're using here. It's got like a very neon vibes to it.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
Definitely not my kind of game. Like I've tried Celeste and Meat Boy, and I just don't like platforming as much as that. Like I like to take my time when I'm playing a game like this. But
I have to be in the mood for something like that. It's very rare for me to be in the mood for something like that.
Yeah, but it's definitely good looking, and it's something from Atari, which is strange.
Yeah, an actual like honest to god Atari thing.
Well, last year we had that Atari Classics game that was pretty good.
That's true. Yeah.
So,
but this is like a new thing.
Yeah,
I think is what makes it more interesting to me.
Definitely,
because that's the fun thing about the internet is there's a community just making things for really outdated systems, and a lot of them are a lot of fun still.
Yep, there's some.
You can buy cartridges for those things. Yeah.
Let's see, and then finally, we got a trailer for 100 Acre Wood, which is I don't know how much you keep up with this, but they had that Winnie the Pooh horror movie.
That much I knew. I didn't know they made a game.
So the thing is that in January of this year, Winnie the Pooh officially went into the public domain.
Yes.
And so they're making a horror game where it appears that you're trying to rescue Christopher Robin. There's a voiceover here talking about how you killed that pig. And you appear to be like a hunter, and you're running away from Winnie the Pooh, and it's all dark and scary, and it doesn't look very good.
That's the issue with a lot of stuff like this is that they see something and then they're like, well, I'm gonna take my idea and add like this public domain thing to it.
Yeah,
I feel like that's how we got the Alice in Wonderland American McGee games.
Oh, sure,
kind of thing, and that's what's happening with Winnie the Pooh now. And a lot of people forget that that it's the original Winnie the Pooh that's public domain, not the one that's more Disneyfied.
Right, you can't put a red shirt on it.
You can only go so far with it. So that's kind of the reason why I feel like they don't 100% work still.
Yep. I think we should make a Winnie the Pooh dating simulator because I think there are more ways. I always hate it when people decide to cash in on a thing with and so we're going to make a horror version, and I'm like, I don't know, make something else.
Yeah, that's the thing that annoys me is that they always delve into the darker part. Like, what if we just made it dark as shit? It's like, that's not the reason people like these characters.
Yeah,
like I terrified of the day Superman becomes public domain. Because his is much closer than anybody else's since he's the oldest fucking superhero.
That's true. It's very true. Okay, let's wrap it up. Hollow Knight Silk Song has been delayed.
That's a shame.
Yep. It was supposed to be coming out in the first half of this year, and they have pushed it back to later this year, maybe. But as notoriously, it wasn't even, I don't think it even had like a full-on release date, but it was in a group of games that were all supposed to be coming out in 12 months that was shown in an Xbox showcase. And it was like, all these games are coming out in the next 12 months.
And they did not.
Starfield was in there.
Yeah. That was one of the big ones that was there.
Yeah, Forza was in there.
Now this one.
And this one was in there as well. So the official statement, we had planned to release in the first half of 2023, but development is still continuing. We're excited by how the game is shaping up. It's gotten quite big, so we want to take the time to make the game as good as we can. Expect more details from us as we get closer to release. So you don't want to hurry it up. You don't want a bad Hollow Knight, guys.
I know.
We got the lineup for May's PlayStation Plus lineup, and one of the big things on the list is Ratchet & Clank
Rift Apart.
Rift Apart. I was going to say Future Tools Destruction. It's this tired part of the podcast. Everybody should totally play Rift Apart, even if you watch Matt and I play it. It is one of the best PS5 exclusive games that are out there. It is a really good Ratchet & Clank game. It is fun AF.
It's great. It's fun. It shows off so much of what the PS5 can do.
Yep. And actually, it's a pretty good lineup. Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Humanity, Dishonored 2, Dishonored Death the Outsider, all three of the Tomb Raiders, Evil Within 2, Wolfenstein Youngblood.
You're not a fan of Bus Simulator, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm skipping the ones that I don't like. And then, yeah, the rest of those are kind of okay.
Bus Simulator has that guy playing Zelda in there. Nobody notices him. It's part of the update.
What was that? Did that game ever came out? You remember there was that game, I remember talking about it a long time ago, where it was like, the game is that you get on an airplane and then you sit on an airplane from like Tokyo to Los Angeles or something like that.
That's like the real time like
you're
just fucking with stuff.
Yeah,
I forgot about that. Yeah,
open up public domain movies on the back of your seat
because it was inspired by that bus game.
Yeah,
from Penn and Teller.
Desert Bus.
Yeah,
yep.
People play that for charity and it cracks me up.
Yep. Let's see. Magic the Gathering is coming to Steam in May, which is a little bit early. That game has been in early access on the PC as well as on phones, but bringing it to Steam means it's going to get a huge bump because a lot of people won't play stuff unless it's on Steam. May 23rd, we should be seeing that come out.
That thing's going to do pretty well.
The System Shock remake has gone gold. And
I forgot that was a thing still.
Has a full release date, May 30th. It seemed like it was already very close to completion, but this is official. I don't remember last time that I got a has gone gold announcement. So
at least one that for something like this.
Yeah.
Because we've had a few of them. You know, Final Fantasy 16 went gold. When that was announced, same with Dead Island 2.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the first time I've seen one for a game that I basically forgot about.
Yep. Let's see here. I almost sent this to you, Michael, but the Xbox 360 controllers that will work with modern systems that Hyperkin is making went on pre-order.
Oh.
$50 a pop. They're USB-C, and they're just the ergonomics of a 360 controller. This is the same company that made the Duke for the Xbox Series X, and these work with Series X, Series S, and PC. So
I might get one, to be honest. I actually really like the feel of those.
I liked them too. They were nice.
The only issue they had were their D-pads.
Yeah, the D-pad wasn't quite as good. The new ones are a little bit, they've got that like texture on the back.
Yeah.
The old ones were a lot slicker. A lot more rounded edges.
Like I like the new one fine, but like there's something very fun about those original ones.
Yeah. Well, this was like the most ergonomic, or this was the first time I felt like a controller, like it was really easy to play for long periods of time. Like the PlayStation from the PS1 to the PS2, their controller was kind of actively non-ergonomic.
After a while, yeah, like you said, after a while they hurt, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And these felt fantastic for shooters.
Yes.
Like I loved playing shooters with these things.
Especially because this is the first controller I ever used where they took the left analog stick and put it where the D-pad was on the PlayStation.
Which is why they're so good for those.
Yeah. Yep. So, yep, $50. And they come in white, black, red, and pink. They also have like a share button and all the rest of the stuff.
Yeah, I am actually looking at that. That's actually a fun idea.
Let's see. Dragon Age Dreadwolf, almost certainly not launching this year.
Again, a game I completely forgot about.
EA had an earnings call where they went over the stuff that they're supposed to be putting out this year. And I don't know if there's more than what's in this IGN article, but what they have in here is Lord of the Rings, Hero of Middle-earth, Immortals of Avium, and Madden 24. And I'm just like, what is happening with large video game companies? Like, they can't seem to do anything these days.
It's very strange. They spend all this money and then nothing happens.
Yeah.
And they keep announcing things way in advance and then nothing happens.
Yeah.
And it's getting very annoying.
I agree. I very much agree. And then finally, let's wrap it up with a couple things. There wasn't much fun stuff this week, but Doom 2 RPG got ported to the PC.
Oh, yeah, I heard about this.
There's like a developer. For anybody who doesn't know, Doom RPG was like it was a phone game that was like a kind of a turn-based first-person phone game. And the same team did Doom RPG, and they just recently put out Doom 2 RPG, which is very strange. And so the only one left is they apparently also made a Wolfenstein RPG.
Oh, okay.
Which I didn't know was even a thing. I remember I had this on my rocker, my Motorola rocker phone, because it had to play on a teeny tiny screen.
Yeah, back then that's how you played. That's how they did phone games. Mm-hmm. They were very simplistic in how you actually played them.
Yep.
So you could only do so much with it.
Yep. You had a little D-pad little clicky analog D-pad.
It was basically either this or Snake is really what you were doing.
Yeah, but this was good. Like Doom RPG was an interesting thing. I kind of wish that somebody would go through and redo the whole project up to a full HD version, because it was a strange concept.
Yeah, or just make stuff like this again, like RPGs that are based on things that weren't designed that way originally.
True. Yes. And last but not least, gamers have been taking the coronation of Charles and making it into all kinds of good video game stuff. There's been some wonderful Elden Ring memes. We had this one where, what was it? Somebody said every single photo I've seen from the coronation looks like someone low-key regretting doing a faith build in Elden Ring, because there's all these like people carrying around like weird golden things,
like giant scepters that look like they were weapons for Elden Ring.
One of them, this is from Kotaku article, one of them had that the ball that Charles has with the little cross on it sells for 100,000 pesetas in RE4. Just some good old-fashioned stuff, which is good. I think somebody actually asked me if I was talking to my dad on the phone or something. He was like, "So did you watch the coronation?" I was like, "No."
I didn't even know what was going on until these memes popped up.
Yes. Sorry, British people. I got better things to do than watch that old man get golded up. Like
the only reason I sort of knew what was happening is that somebody was like, there are 5 days till it happens, and he has the chance to do the funniest thing ever, which is to die before then. so he still doesn't become king.
Oh my god,
that would be the funniest thing possible, and it kind of honestly it would have been funny.
Yeah,
but this is just as funny because of everything the internet has done with it.
True. Yeah, the internet's gonna internet, man. You can't stop them.
Another one of my favorites was just somebody who's like, "This is a once in a lifetime thing." He's like, he's almost like 90. They're like, "Well, maybe it's the second in a lifetime thing."
Yeah. Anyway, that's our show. Let's see. Michael, before we get out of here, why don't you tell the fine folks of the internet where they can find you when you're not helping me? Where can they find more video game news? It's not all just on Sunday.
Yeah, you can find me on BelleLostSouls.net. I do their video game articles every 8:30 a.m. Central Time, Monday through Friday. And you can also find me on oneofus.net doing reviews every now and then.
Cool.
At least sometimes.
Yeah. And you already know where to find me because you couldn't listen to this you couldn't accidentally be listening to the RageSelect could you? If you do, how did you find this? Stop listening. This isn't for you. Go away. Everybody else, go to patreon.com/RageSelect, or I don't know, do whatever you feel like. I would appreciate it, but I don't want to guilt trip you. You've probably got enough going on in your life. You know what? You deserve a hot chocolate. Go get a hot chocolate. Think about it for a little while. Then maybe come back and go to patreon.com/RageSelect. Tell me how your hot chocolate was and maybe give me some money. All right, I did it. I did the thing.